Ah, what a glorious Monday in which we can say that we will actually have tackle football that will count in the standings later on this week from Dublin.
Amen.
Welcome into the program. This is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly, and Conrad. The gang's all back together. A very important week in the history of college football as we get ready for another season coming up this weekend.
I can't wait. And we get the game in Dublin. We get some other games that normally in the course of a season you're not going to worry about. You're not going to be too concerned in. But this is the beautiful thing about week 0. I love week 0. I want week sub-0. We get to watch teams. We get to watch organized football and get that first little taste before it all gets going next week.
Should be a lot of fun, a lot to get into this morning, including some bad news from Tuscaloosa in regards to their starting running back, Jam Miller.
Season's over.
We will talk to Alex Scarboro from Bama 247 at 10:30. We'll get his thoughts on the depth of the running back's position. We'll also discuss with him the second scrimmage that took place on Saturday at Bryant-Denny, in which that's when Jam Miller broke his collarbone. We will also talk about the Auburn Tigers. They had their scrimmage on Friday. A lot of their wide receivers were yellow no contact jerseys, but they did do a little bit of participating on Friday's scrimmage. But we start with news coming out of Auburn about 20 minutes ago, and this is a no-brainer as Auburn Athletics, they have announced that they will retire 2010 Heisman Trophy winner Cam Newton's number 2 jersey, making him the 4th player in program history to have his number retired. The retirement ceremony will take place at the Georgia game on October 11th at Jordan-Hare Stadium. So he will now join Pat Sullivan, number 7, Bo Jackson, number 34, Terry Beasley, number 88, as former Tiger football players to have their jersey retired. So wonder why it took so long for this to happen, because I thought that would have happened pretty quickly based on the fact that he won the national championship and he won the Heisman Trophy, consensus All-American. So now he will get his due in October against Georgia.
Yeah, Cam had to be sitting around going, wait a minute, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, what? What's wrong with this?
Well, the Hall of Fame is 5 years. Jersey retirement's 15, apparently. I guess that's the rule.
Well, my question is, and I don't have the current roster memorized, is we have current players, I'm guessing, wearing the number 2s, right?
Off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember if I remember any other number 2s after Cam Newton.
There are not.
Okay.
There are not. At least this year, there are not.
Maybe that was one of those.
Maybe that was the little sneaky hint that they were going to retire the number when they released all of the numbers and who had been assigned what, and there was no number 2. I did not notice it.
Yeah, so the 4th Auburn player will have his number retired. That will come on October 11th at Jordan-Hare Stadium. But the big story this weekend, and it was kind of interesting because the scrimmage went off on Saturday. I was given no information. Now, I was told, I talked to an individual yesterday afternoon about the Alabama scrimmage, and I was told that they saw when Jam Miller got hit and that he went into the tent. But there was no conversation. There was no activity that led to anyone to think that he had a serious injury. And then, of course, we got the news Saturday night, and then we got the release yesterday from Kalen DeBoer saying Jam Miller suffered an upper body injury in Saturday's scrimmage and went in for a procedure on Saturday evening. Jam should recover fully with a timetable for his return yet to be determined. We did find out that it is collarbone. The senior from Tyler, Texas, was the leading tailback for the Tide last season, 668 yards, 7 touchdowns. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry. His top game in 2024 came against South Florida. He rushed for 140 yards on that night. So then the question is, who is next beast up? We've heard that so many times with Alabama's recruiting classes over the year under Nick Saban. It will be Richard Young, the sophomore from Lehigh Acres, Florida. He was rated as the number 1 running back by ESPN coming out of school. He's 5'11", 216. The guy after him, there have been comparisons based on his size with Derrick Henry. Daniel Hill, the sophomore from Meridian, Mississippi, he was a 4-star coming out. He is 6'1", 244. If I'm not mistaken, Derrick Henry was at 252 when he was at Alabama. So it's about an 8-pound difference, but he has a very Derrick Henry-like build. So he's the bigger back of the two. And then you got Kevin Riley, who's a sophomore from Tuscaloosa County High School. I covered him in high school, and he's had a really nice fall camp. So those are the three guys, and we'll ask Alex Scarboro coming up at the bottom of the hour exactly what the pecking order is going to be and which one of these backs could take the ball and proverbial run with it.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it for Jam Miller, but hopefully he's going to get his opportunity sooner rather than later. And you heard what Ryan Grubb had to say about the guy, and just having that veteran presence in that room. He's still going to be there, but unfortunately, Conrad not going to be available. But I know you said it tongue in cheek. I don't think that this is the worst thing that could happen to this offense at this point in the season.
No, I mean, it certainly doesn't help anything, but it just, I mean, the reality is someone's going to have to step up. Maybe multiple guys are going to have to step up, but a lot of what talking to people in Tuscaloosa over the weekend, a lot of it comes down to, they have a lot of guys with a great skill set, but it's who's going to be able to get in there and block, right? Who's going to be able to help in pass protection? Who's going to be able to do all the things outside of just toting the rock that, it takes to be a starting running back at Alabama. So, opportunity for some of these younger guys to step up, and this is why, when you go and you get a transfer running back out of Louisiana, and some people start looking around like, man, why are you bringing in this guy who might be a fourth stringer on the depth chart into Dre Washington? And it's because of opportunities like this, right? You need that depth, and so Alabama certainly has it, but some of the young guys are going to have to show a little something.
So Ty Simpson had another strong scrimmage over the weekend. He ran the ball a couple times for long gains. The offense had some untimely false start penalties. The defensive line was having their way against Vandermark, I was told. Vandermark struggled on the offensive line. Elijah Pritchett had a good day on the offensive line. Wide receivers, a nice scrimmage. Young and Hill are behind Jam Miller in the backfield until obviously Jam Miller got injured. Some defenders that stood out, I was told, Noah Carter, Nakai Hill-Green, who's the transfer from Pittsburgh. He had a really nice day. Bray Hubbard is, your jersey.
That's right.
Conrad.
Heavy hitter in the backfield there.
Yeah, and freshman quarterback Dejon Lee. He is actually going to get some playing time. He looked really good.
6'4", he should.
Yeah, he looked really good in the second scrimmage. Connor Talty hit a couple long field goals. I'm told that the punting situation continues to be fluid, that is going to come down to the wire. So
linebacker position depth there, would that be the biggest reason for pause, or would it be another position group?
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, the defensive line continues. I was told that you're not going to have the so-called, if you're looking for someone like Anderson, it's not there. But they're hoping that the interior is going to be able to get enough push that the Overtons, the Smiths of the world, can find their way into the backfield. So, but the unit as a whole looks very good. Talking about the defensive unit. Jaden Roberts still dealing with a concussion. He did not participate in the scrimmage. Neither did defensive lineman James Smith. Now, Smith is getting closer, and I know Kalen DeBoer mentioned that in his post-scrimmage press conference. No practice today for Alabama, taking the day off. School is in session, I believe, Wednesday in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, that's when school starts. So they'll practice. They took off yesterday and today. They're practicing tomorrow, and then they kind of have to switch some things around because they have to go to class.
Yeah.
Got to make those good grades, right?
So Tuesday, Coach Grubb will be available for the media. Wednesday will be Coach Womack, Coach DeBoer on Thursday. And then there's no more availability as we're about to get into the general routine as we're getting closer to game day. Friday, when Landrum and I, we were down at UAB watching their practice. They scrimmaged on Saturday. Auburn had their second scrimmage on Friday. Was told that the offensive line had a better day as they were able to open up some holes. The running game finally got going for Auburn. But Keldrick Falk and Kieron Crawford continued to have a very, very good fall camp on the defense.
The things that I've heard from people I trust down there is that the defense going to be better than maybe originally anticipated, and the chance in the secondary with as much depth as they had back there to be a pretty dominant group.
Several players, as I mentioned earlier, they wore yellow jerseys. Eric Singleton, he's dealing with a thigh bruise. Perry Thompson, he was wearing a brace on his knee. Cam Coleman practiced, but he was in a yellow non-contact jersey. All are expected to be completely fine for Baylor. They're just obviously being very careful. Auburn, once again, perfect on field goals, which is huge. And Friday night will be the final scrimmage for the Auburn Tigers. This will be a dress rehearsal for the Waco trip. So they will wake up Friday morning and they'll go through the whole routine that they're going to have in a couple weeks in Waco. And then they'll practice under the lights there at Jordan-Hare Stadium. We will attempt to, coming up at 11:30, Hugh Freeze's press conference coming up. And we will hear from him in regards to what he thinks about this Auburn team after the second scrimmage, maybe some of those injuries, and who knows, maybe somebody will ask a question about the ongoing saga as who's calling plays on what down.
By the way, I guess Cam's number 2 jersey has been unofficially retired since he left school, because I just went back
Nobody's
a bunch
had
of different seasons and no number 2 listed on any of those rosters. So
Okay.
if you're not going to use it, you might as well retire it.
Yeah. Well, and I know some baseball teams do this where they have, I don't know what's the Yankee rule before they retire somebody. Do they have a rule in regards to they have to make the Yankee Hall of Fame? Do they have to be in the MLB Hall of Fame?
Oh, I don't know what exactly the guidelines
See,
are
for the
in terms of how
Cardinals,
they retire them.
for the Cardinals to retire a number, you have to either be a member of the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame or the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame to be considered.
Okay.
So for example, Albert Pujols, that's a no-brainer. He's, his number 5 is going to be retired. Yadier Molina, his number 4, going to be retired. But neither one of them are retired yet because, one, they're not in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and you have to be out so many years before the Cardinals consider you a Cardinal Hall of Famer. So you have to wait for that. So I didn't know.
The Yankees apparently
Yankees
have an executive council that makes that decision.
Okay. And the reason why, because the Cardinals have not given anybody a number 4 or number 5.
I thought you had to be honored before a game and be given a knockoff flat screen television before you can officially be
No,
retired.
that's only if you're in the booth. But for example, like when Derek Jeter retired, right? Before they had the official ceremony, they're not going to give away the number 2, right? Same thing with like Mariano Rivera. They didn't give away 42.
Correct.
Like there's just an understanding that number's off limits.
It's kind of the
unofficial.
unofficial retirement of somebody's
Correct.
jersey. And obviously, I think that's what has happened at Auburn.
Well, Cam's had a statue, so
Yeah.
now you retire the jersey.
Well, the Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand for 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at train.com.
So coming up on the show, we'll talk to Alex Scarboro. He will join the program at 10:30. We'll hear from Hugh Freeze at 11:30. At 12:30, a very special day. 115 years ago today, Rickwood Field opened up. We'll talk to Mike Newton from the Friends of Rickwood as a very special day in the history of our city and baseball a whole in the United States, with Rickwood Field opening 115 years ago today. All that straight ahead on this Reaction Monday on Jox. 10:17, welcome back in. This is Jox. This is Three-Man Front. This is game week, 5 days away from kickoff. Really excited about that. We've got high school football getting underway on Friday. Then we've got games in Dublin, Ireland starting on Saturday. So you know what? We wanted to fire everybody up across the great state of Alabama. This is what it would sound like as we get ready for the 2025 college football season.
Under head coach Mike Norvell, Florida State has blocked 5 kicks in opponent's season openers. 3 against Georgia Tech. Snap, spot, kick is on the way. Headed through the uprights. It's good. And Georgia Tech has shocked the Seminoles here in Dublin.
Ball on the near side hash. Moss and company with 13 seconds calls for the snap. Hands it off to Marks. Marks with room up the middle, and Marks into the end zone on the ground. And USC takes a 26-20 lead with 8 seconds remaining here in Las Vegas. Now make it 5 straight to start the season. The Tigers just cannot grab victory.
He's lining it up. 5 seconds left. NIU up 16-14. 62-yarder. Snap, hold, Jeter's kick. It's blocked! It's blocked! It's blocked! Picked up by NIU! Picked up by NIU! The Huskies have done it! The Huskies with the biggest upset in NIU history! They come to South Bend, Indiana, and they knock off the number 5 team in the country.
From the 43-yard line for Colorado, here's the ball game. Snap back to Shedeur Sanders. Rolls left, has time, being chased. He throws it for the end zone. It is... Oh, he may have caught it. He did! It's a catch for a touchdown by LaJonte Wester on the last play in regulation.
From the 25, Milroe will sling it, far sideline, near sideline rather, and Williams makes an adjustment, makes the catch, spins away from 2 Georgia defenders, breaks away from another, and he's going to go in the end zone for a touchdown up the near sideline. We had 2 guys, couldn't catch him. Snap back to Beck in the pocket, throwing for the end zone in the back corner. It's intercepted. Trying to go to Colby Young. Pass was short, intercepted by Brown, the freshman cornerback.
4 men behind him, 3 deep. Salter running to his right. Salter throws in the right sideline, out of bounds. The clock is expired. Give me liberty. Kennesaw State ends the undefeated season for the Flames and secures its first ever FBS victory.
4 seconds to go. You're an offensive receiver. Keep that ball alive. Last play. Hail Mary. Huff gets it off. Gets to the end zone. And it's gone! Touchdown! Cam Vaughn behind the pile. Incredible!
The referee looks at his watch. He blows the whistle. It's the greatest day. And every man, woman, and child stands to applaud. For rejoice, sweet mother of Jesus, they have pulled off the unthinkable. Gallium Abu.
If that doesn't get you fired up for the college football season, you're not alive.
That
'Cause
guy who does Gaelic football, that last call that our listeners heard, it's the equivalent of David Attenborough to me. Watching Our Planet version documentary.
Or the Spanish
that
broadcaster that does goal.
Yes. Yes.
Goes crazy. There's some great moments.
There were a lot of great moments.
Forget the obviously kicked off in Dublin, Georgia Tech.
You know what's so
beating
bad?
Florida State.
When it said from the 25, Jalen Milroe, I caught myself catching my breath. Like holding my breath.
The Vanderbilt game?
Holding my breath.
I thought the last
what clip is this going to be?
I thought the last clip was going to be Vanderbilt beating Alabama. I thought that's what Pat was going to do to end it.
I have chills.
That's an alternate version.
So you had Georgia Tech knocking off Florida State. Then you had USC upsetting LSU that opening weekend. And then also in there you had
Kennesaw State.
Kennesaw State's only win. Colorado's Hail Mary against Baylor. You also had Jacksonville State's Hail Mary against Louisiana Tech. You had the Bama-Georgia game, of course, Ryan Williams' acrobatic catch. That was the Georgia radio broadcast. And then, of course, wrapped it up with the Gaelic football announcer. So, like I said, if you don't get fired up over that montage, then you're just not a college football fan. So who knows what kind of highlights we're going to have starting this weekend with Farmageddon there in Dublin. Well, there was some college football playoff news over the weekend, and a lot of us are absolutely, I mean, this is kind of like I'm punch drunk when I get to read this story. So now the Big Ten, they can't get enough support for a 16-team playoff, so now we're going to go to a 24 and a 28-team playoff model. A 7-7-5-5-2-2 format. It would likely eliminate conference title games, so I think that would upset a lot of people in Atlanta, Georgia, and Charlotte, North Carolina, and other parts that has these conference championship games. Now, according to the reports, the discussions about this 24 and 2018 playoff model, it's early enough that the concept has been socialized amongst the Big Ten, but really not discussed at great length with the other conferences. Now, the Big Ten and the SEC commissioners, they did hold a preliminary call this last Friday, according to Yahoo. SEC ADs meet in a regularly scheduled gathering this week where it may be discussed. SEC ADs, they're spending more time now trying to figure out if they're going to go to 8 or 9 conference games. That's mainly the biggest discussion that they've been having. So doing a little bit of digging, for the 24-28 team format, it would allow for the top 4 seeds to receive a first-round bye. Conferences would presumably hold discretion in determining their qualifiers, a decision that will likely focus on league standings. So not so much if you go play in a conference championship game, because the conference championship game would go by the wayside. That would not be played anymore. So if you eliminate the conference championship games at the beginning of December, that would set in motion the ability to play at least the first-round games of the playoff in the second week of the month when there are no NFL games are being played. So that would be huge. There would be no conflict. And the addition of a 5th postseason round also opens up the possibility for the first 2 rounds to be hosted on campus.
That's the only good part of this idea.
Yeah.
More on-campus playoff games, yeah.
So, and we'll go around the room and get everyone's thought on this. Mine is, if 14 of the 34 combined teams are from the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten Conference, that is 41% of the total field that would be in the playoff. So in other words, doesn't matter the results of what's happening or who's winning the division or the conference, whatever the case may be, 41% of the teams are already decided before we know if any of those teams are any good. That's a problem in my opinion, not to mention the fact that if you want the kind of Saturday drama that we just played for you on that audio clips, that's gone. That's gone. That would be the equivalent of the Braves playing a game in April against the Mets. That has very little to do with what's going to happen in September. It's just one of 3 games.
Go 8-4, you're probably in the playoff.
Correct. So if you're talking about, if you're a television executive at ESPN or Fox, why would you be for this? Because all of a sudden that is going to take away from your ratings on a Saturday, because interest is going to take a hit. It's not going to mean as much. Not to mention the fact that if you are a fan of the bowl system, and I know a lot of people are not, but if you were, you can kiss the bowl system goodbye because there's no need to have them.
I hate to make the comparison to the NBA, but that's something we heard from the NBA for years, was I don't bother watching the regular season because most of the teams get in the playoffs. That's when I start. I would hate to think that that becomes the mindset from your average college football fan and viewer when it comes to this game that we love so much.
My problem with it mainly is just, and again, we've talked about this a lot, how many teams in a given year do you actually think can win a national championship? Because it's not 12, and it sure as heck ain't 24 or 28. I mean, you look at last year, right? Who was the 24th best team at the end of the year? Memphis. Good program. Does anybody think Memphis can win a national championship in football? No. So why are we giving them a seat at the table and expanding this thing out to just include a bunch of teams that aren't actually going to have a shot at winning the national championship? Because I'm with Pat. I think it dilutes the regular season product, and it would be a short-sighted money grab of, more playoff games without thinking of how it would have the long-term repercussions on viewership.
The only thing that it would help was if you're not a fan of the amount of bowl games, if you tie in some of the bowl games that are viewed as meaningless, and you include them in some of these first round, second, whatever matchups, then maybe that makes it more appealing. But then again, you're going to have less bowls. So is everybody okay with that? I would think for the most part people would be, but depends on which side of the fence you're on. If you're one of those programs like an Ohio State and you're a fan, do you really want this? No. Alabama, probably not. No. But if you haven't been to a college football playoff and you're a fan of one of those teams, let's just take an Auburn fan. Do you want that, or does it make it more special to earn a berth in the current format that we have? I would think the latter.
See, that's what I'm saying. Are you really going to feel great if you're that 28th team? We made the college football playoff. Do you have a sense of accomplishment from that feat when it's the reality of it is, okay, well, we kind of just got a gimme spot.
But part of me, Conrad, says let's go ahead and let's do this for a couple of years.
Just see what happens.
And say, all right, this is what you asked for.
Well, I mean, FCS does 24 teams. Seems to work for them. But the only thing I like about that still, more on-campus playoff games. And I would like that if we stayed at 12, 16, whatever, more games on campus. I think that's a great idea.
I just want to say, as the Big Ten graduate in the room, when this news came out over the weekend, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for the conference. Like Pat said, having 14 of the representatives being from 2 conferences is ridiculous. And when you look at last year's order of finish in the Big Ten, I think the 6th and 7th teams were Iowa and Michigan. No offense to Iowa and Michigan, I don't want to see a 7-5 team in the playoff. I don't. I don't want to see an 8-4 team in the playoff. I think this is stupid. I think this is ridiculous. Keep it at 12. Don't go to 24, 20, or however many it is. That's way too many teams. This is not March Madness. This is college football.
Great point. When we come back, Alex Scarboro will join the program from Tuscaloosa. We'll get his thoughts on the injury to Jam Miller as Alabama gets ready for Florida State in less than 2 weeks. That's next on Three Man Front. It is Reaction Monday here on Jox. This is three-man front. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. A lot of action over the weekend. Second scrimmage is wrapping up around the Southeastern Conference, including the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday. Joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline from Bama 247, Alex Scarboro joins us now. Alex, I hope you're doing well. And a lot of news came out of this weekend. Unfortunately for Alabama faithful, not so good news about the running back one. What is the very latest that you can tell us about Jam Miller?
Yeah, he's dealing with an upper body injury that's going to knock him out for at least the first game against Florida State. Would not surprise me if it's a little bit longer than that, but it's not a season-ending type of deal or anything along those lines. But really unfortunate thing where during the scrimmage he got banged up. It didn't look that bad, didn't sound that bad, which is why Kalen DeBoer did not mention it in our post-scrimmage press conference. But when they looked at it and got further testing, they realized, hey, there's more to this, and we're going to have to have a procedure done and have to sit him down for a little while and get him back for hopefully the stretch run and getting him into SEC play. But you look at it as kind of an opportunity for those backs behind him, whether you're talking about Richard Young, Daniel Hill, Dre Washington. I think those are your three most likely candidates. But the onus is on them now to go into what I think will be a tricky road environment in Tallahassee here in a few weeks.
Alex, based on people that you've talked to, what was the expected workload for Jam Miller?
Oh, he was definitely going to be the number one tailback. I think he was going to take the majority of the carries. I do think the second and third backs were going to get run because, look, the bottom line is Jam he's had a good camp. He had a good spring. But you're talking about a guy who's been in the program for a long time who – solid, dependable, but I don't think has necessarily shown star power or necessarily shown making explosive plays, which is something they really need at that running back position, especially now that Jalen Milroe is no longer the quarterback and can provide those types of runs. So I think they were probably, in any instance, going to get a guy like Richard Young, a guy like Daniel Hill, a guy like Dre Washington, those opportunities, especially early in the season, to see if they can provide a little bit of spark. Because as good as you feel about Ty Simpson, who, by the way, can run the football, and that receiver core with Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, you go down the line, you got to have balance in this league. You got to have balance when you go on the road to Georgia. So I think those other backs were going to get reps regardless, but there's no question that Jam was going to be the guy. He just does all the things at a really high level. And I think that's what I've said multiple times is it's not just the running ability. It's the fact that he's so dependable in terms of knowing the offense, pass protection, catching the football out of the backfield. He's just a really dependable guy who I think they're going to miss, especially I think people are underrating the fact that you're having to deal with this not just late in fall camp, but going into, I think, what's going to be an amped up environment in Tallahassee and throwing guys into that equation, quarterback and running back, who haven't really had to go through that before.
You mentioned Ty Simpson and his deceptive ability to run the football. I was told on Saturday he had a couple of long runs during the scrimmage. Talk a little bit about Ty. He's not just a pocket passer. Granted, he's not Jalen Milroe, but I think he's going to fool some people being able to get out of the pocket, and he's going to make some positive yards.
Yeah, he's not a burner per se, but he's a guy who is not afraid to use his legs. There's a reason 247 Sports had him as a dual threat quarterback coming out of high school. He does like to run. If anything, actually, I think one of the biggest challenges for him this late in his career was trying to figure out how to stay put a little bit in the pocket and not have quite so much happy feet. When you look at some of his film from a year ago, 2 years ago, I think he bails a little bit early and relies on his arm instead of having a strong base. So you want to see him stand in the pocket, but also he's going to take advantage of that athleticism. He's a tough guy who's not going to be against fighting for yardage. So I think at the end of the day, you're looking at a guy who can run the football, but will be looking to run to throw the ball more than anything in terms of just buying time. You're right. He had a good run coming out of that scrimmage. He was actually really accurate in that scrimmage too. He only had one or two really incompletions, a couple of drops in there too, which I don't think you really count against him. So a guy who can do a little bit of everything. The question mark for him is not the athleticism. It's not the efficiency necessarily. It's one, take care of the football, because that's a question with every quarterback, but also, can you make explosive plays? That's the thing I go back to. I think Kalen DeBoer said it late in spring, might have been right before the scrimmage. He said, at the end of the day, We don't want a game manager at quarterback. We want a guy who can go out and make football plays and make explosive plays. So I think that's one of the boxes that we need to see Ty check, whether that's him doing it with his feet, whether it's putting the ball in the air and letting Ryan Williams go run up underneath it.
And Alex, he's got to have that offensive line protecting him. Based on what you thought about the offensive line 2 weeks ago and now after 2 scrimmages and all the reports from practice, what are your thoughts heading into the season?
Yeah, maybe some inconsistencies there and pre-snap stuff that they've got to get cleaned up. Sort of some of that is to be expected, I think, because there's been a wrinkle, right, with Jaden Roberts being out. And even before he had the concussion, he kind of had a little bit of a competition on his hands. When you talk about Cam Dewberry and Geno Vandermark fighting for both of those guard spots. So there's a little bit of an influx there on the offensive line where it looks solid. Before that, where you really had one position you're battling for, now you got 2. I think it says more about the talent that Alabama's brought in, that they feel good about, both Geno, who played quite a bit off the bench last year, both at center and at guard, and then bringing Cam Dewberry in over from Texas A&M, had a really good work in the offseason, getting his body ready, a guy who NFL teams sort of have their eye on. I think it says more about what they have there as opposed to what they don't have. The question to me isn't how good the offensive line can be. I think it'd be really good. It's just how did it reach its ceiling? And I think sort of emblematic of all of that is Caden Proctor and what we know he can be as a left tackle versus what he shows consistently every single week. He can be a top 10 pick, but we need to see him stay healthy, and we need to see every week him bring it. And I think that really applies to the entire offensive line for Alabama.
Alex Scarboro joins us on the Higginbotham hotline from Bama 247, talking about Alabama wrapping up their second scrimmage over the weekend. Staying on the offensive side of the ball, you just mentioned the wide receiver core. All indications are they've had a very good camp, and Isaiah Horton is going to be someone that if the opponents don't realize he's a big receiver and you put all your attention towards Jeremy Bernard and, of course, Ryan Williams, all of a sudden Horton could give flashes of what the Tide fans saw a couple years back with a very deep wide receiver core. Just kind of go down the line there of what you expect from that group coming up in Tallahassee.
Yeah, they're loaded, especially at the top of the receiver room. We know what Ryan Williams is capable of. I think you want to see a little bit more in terms of consistency. The back half of the season, he sort of got worn down a little bit. And I think some of that was, look, it's a true freshman, but also a true freshman who skipped his senior year of high school. A lot of it was Jalen Milroe and the offense constricting, the passing game specifically. So can he consistently bring it every single week and be a guy who could be not just the face of Alabama, but one of the faces of college football? And then Jeremy Bernard, I think, is the most underrated player on the team, maybe. Parker Brailsford probably has a word to say in that argument, but just does everything at a really high level. But then you bring Isaiah Horton into it because he does have that size, like you referenced. I think he's 6'4", 6'5", gives you that length, but also has the speed to go over the top. I think he's going to be a massive threat. I think he's going to be a really good player, not just in his own right, but with the way he can unlock and take some of the pressure off of Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard as well. But there is depth there. You love what you hear about Rico Scott. Looks like the guy who's going to be the fourth receiver is probably one of the fastest guys, if not the fastest guy on the team. And then some really interesting pieces behind it, whether, Lotsier Brooks had a huge spring, really athletic. There are guys in this receiver room, and you're just waiting to see, can the quarterback unlock it? Because it wasn't working with Jalen. But I think the addition of Isaiah and the way the offense will change in Ty Simpson's hands has the potential for this Alabama wide receiver room to look drastically different than a year ago and be in the conversation to be one of the best receiver rooms in the country.
Speaking of difference, how much difference, Alex, have you been able to tell with Alabama's offense, maybe even Kalen DeBoer, since the arrival of Ryan Grubb?
Yeah, I think there's a quiet confidence that's there. A lot of it's the familiarity that those two have. They both feed off each other, and they both complement each other in really interesting ways because Grubb is just a super fiery guy. The more you learn about him, the more you understand, hey, I know why Nick Saban wanted to hire him, because they're in some ways cut from the same cloth. But Kalen is that big picture guy, presents a calmness, and I think they balance each other out. And you talk to people throughout their respective careers who have seen them together, and they're just like, it's special when the two of them are together. But even more than that, I think is just continuity is kind of a thing that's been said over and over again. But more than that, it's like, hey, everybody knows what everybody's supposed to do at this point. This isn't a new offense anymore. And by the way, they upgraded at several key positions to where they just look at year 2, and I think they know what all of this is capable of. I'm not sitting here saying it's going to look like Washington 2023 right out the gate, but when you talk about the depth at receiver, what they have potentially on the offensive line, and if you get that quarterback play, maybe you start to see the offense that Greg Byrne flew out to Seattle to go get when he hired Kalen DeBoer. The plan all along was to have Ryan Grubb as the OC, and the Seahawks sort of squandered that. But a year later, they get to try that again, and it's quiet confidence is the phrase I would use, because the quarterback is still a question mark. But if that box gets checked, I think the potential is there for this offense to make a huge leap from what we saw a year ago.
All right, let's talk on the other side of the ball, the defense. A lot of talk about the defensive line. Can it get enough pressure up front? The secondary, it looks solid. Just your take on what you have been able to see and the people you talk to about Kane Womack's group.
Yeah, solid, I think, might be underrating the secondary, because it's across the board. You look at the starters, Damani and Zabian at cornerback, 2 of the better corners in the country. I think Zabian is wildly underrated going into his sophomore year. He just carries himself like a pro and really made great strides as a true freshman last season. I think he's going to be really, really good. And then Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard at safety. Bray stepped in for Keon when he got injured a year ago, played at a really high level. And we know what Keon can do in terms of being a playmaker, the maturity he has on the back end, but it's the depth that's really the difference. And that's the thing you started to hear more about in the spring and then carried it over into preseason camp. Just kept hearing Dijon Lee's name. Probably not a surprise for a 5-star, but a 5-star cornerback in a crowded room really continues to make a case for why you should get on the football field. And then Cam Calhoun, the transfer from Utah, played quite a bit there last year. I think he's going to be a guy they depend on off the bench as well. So the defense on the back end is really good. Linebacker, they got lucky. I think they'd even say that by getting Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson back when you didn't expect either one of those things to happen because of the draft and NCAA eligibility rules. Add in Nakai Hill-Green and you look solid. The question, to your point, is can you get to the quarterback? Because Kane Womack was having to use smoke and mirrors a year ago and trying to send numbers and holding his breath at the back end of the defense would hold up, because there wasn't a lot of guys who could win one-on-one battles. LT Overton was the best guy at doing that. 39 pressures and only 2 sacks. One of those parts of that sentence is great. The other part, not so much.
Yeah.
So can he be a guy who kind of closes that gap? And can guys like Quay Russaw, maybe even a Noah Carter down the line, can you create – can you bring guys on the field, even if it's just third down packages, you can get to the quarterback? If you do that, I think this defense goes from good to great.
That is Alex Scarboro. You can follow all of his work there at Bama247, just an outstanding analyst in regards to what has transpired so far in fall camp, as we're less than 2 weeks away from kickoff at Doak Campbell. Always appreciate your time, Alex. Enjoy the next couple of days. I know practice is off, but there's still plenty of work to be done. We hope to catch up with you again very soon.
All right. Thanks, Wes.
Appreciate it. That's Alex Scarborough joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. Want to remind everybody about Artec Tractor in Jasper. They're having a sale right now on all their fluids and filters from now until the end of September. That's all oil filters and air filters, also engine oil and hydraulic oil. That's 15% off those items. Locally owned specialists in mowers and tractors, mower brands like Toro, Cub Cadet, Gravely, Bobcat, Spartan. I got on my Toro Zero turned on Saturday, got all my yard work done as we get ready for kickoff. Call Jeremy or Greg or go by and see them just north of Jasper on Highway 5 at Artec Tractor, or go to their website, artectractor.com. More three-man front on this Reaction Monday. We'll get to your phone calls, 1-800-239-WJOX, courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. You know, it must be in the water. We had Jimbo Fisher about a week ago, went on a podcast, said he's interested in coming back and coaching. Now another national championship winning coach has done an interview, and he says he wants back in the game. We'll get into that next here on Three Man Front. The name probably will not surprise you.
Well, it's not going to surprise you that right now we still have stinging insects. Hopefully you weren't affected over the weekend. The biting kind, the kind that hurt, the kind are just a nuisance in your yard when you're trying to have fun or maybe just keep the yard up. Well, our friends at Stark Exterminators got great news. A family-owned company, over 61 years, in fact, they've got a great team of people who care about what they do. They have licensed professionals. They'll come to your home, your place of business, inspect it thoroughly inside and out. Take care of any issues you have there in the yard, maybe inside the house, heaven forbid, and they're going to take care of you. Your customer satisfaction, 100% of that is guaranteed. Call our friends at Stark Exterminators today for the free home or business pest inspection by simply calling 855-STARK now or go to starkexterminators.com. 855-STARK-NOW or starkexterminators.com. That's for the free home or business pest inspection. And as always, Tunnel Landrum from Three Man Front and Jox sent you.
So former Florida State and Florida Texas A&M head coach, national championship winning head coach Jimbo Fisher went on a podcast about a week ago and said, you know what? I want back in. I'm good. I'm ready to coach again. Well, going on Pardon My Takes podcast, part of the Barstool Network, Coach Ed Orgeron, Coach O, had this to say about a potential return.
So you do want to get back into coaching football, correct?
You know what?
Time?
Yeah, I think it's time. I'm feeling a little bit. I haven't made the decision totally, but, I got my boys settled, coaching football now, and it's been 4 years since I've been out, and I'm getting the itch again.
So what does the last 4 years look like? Have you just been kind of laying low? Have you been watching football? Have you been talking to anyone about football? Because you are a football guy through and through.
Yeah.
It had to have been weird I would imagine that was one of the first times in your life since you were a little kid that you took a break from football.
Yeah. It was, I didn't know what was going to happen. We went down, one of my sons, Cody, and I went down to Miami, and Mario Cristobal has been great to me, who I coached at the University of Miami. And we asked him if we could get Cody a job as a young analyst. And he said, yeah, come on up. And Cody said, Daddy, Miami's a big city. You mind moving down here? I said, I'll volunteer.
That's a good dad. Yeah, you'll take one for the team.
So I moved down to Miami Beach, and I've been living there ever since.
It's interesting because I've never heard him say that was the reason why he moved to Miami Beach.
No, had no idea.
It had to do about the amount of money that LSU paid him living in a high-rise condo, living with his girlfriend, and working out on South Beach. Never heard him mention anything about he moved there because one of his sons told him he needed to move to Miami.
That's cool, and I appreciate that.
Well, I'm calling BS on that, but okay.
If that's the case, I was about to add, if that's truly the reason.
Never heard it until that podcast.
Hey, Dad, I just got a job in Topeka, Kansas. Do you think you want to come and move out there with me and help me get settled? I feel like maybe the answer's a little different.
Yeah,
tornadoes.
Maybe a little different answer in that one.
All right, so who gets the job first? Jimbo, Coach O?
Jimbo.
It's Jimbo. Well, okay.
I'm going to surprise both of you. I'm going to say it's Coach O.
Well, no, you didn't specify.
That's right, because I think Coach
Power
O,
4.
Coach O would take any job potentially, whereas Jimbo is going to be very selective.
No, if FIU came open, you don't think that Coach O would be all over it? Mm-hmm. I do.
FIU probably will be open.
Yeah.
And FAU will be open.
Every few years, FIU typically comes
he's probably hung out with Pitbull a lot in Miami, so he has an in.
Forgot about that. Pitbull Stadium, right?
And I'm sorry, Bama hater, but if Miami falls flat on their face this year, Mario Cristobal might be shown the door, and guess who's living right there ready to go?
Oh, do you think no, do you really think they would do that?
I do.
Really?
I do. We've said it a million times. The list of individuals that have won a national championship, it's a very small, inclusive group. And he is one of them. And you could say whatever you want to about him and Jimbo Fisher, but if he is sitting there in South Florida and he's got a history with the University of Miami, don't think for a second that they would not take a hard look at him.
That would be something.
Didn't say he would get it.
But he'd be on the list. Potentially.
Hour number 1 in the books, man, jam-packed. Appreciate Alex Scarboro joining us from Bama 247. Coming up in hour number 2, we're going to hear from Hugh Freeze. He is going to go to the microphone at 11:30. We will try to effort those comments to our audience so that you can listen to what he had to say about Friday's scrimmage. We got another scrimmage coming up Friday night. It will be their third and final scrimmage down on the Plains. Also in the 12 o'clock hour, it's the 115th anniversary of Rickwood Field. Mike Newton from the Friends of Rickwood will join us, and we'll get to your text messages and your phone calls straight ahead on this Reaction Monday. This is Jox 3-Man Front. It is 11 o'clock. Welcome back in. It is hour number 2 of Three Man Front. Conrad, Molly, Landrum, I'm Pat with you until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from Hugh Freeze coming up at the bottom of the hour. The big story we've been talking a good bit about, Jam Miller out for an extended period of time. And Conrad, our Three Man Front Twitter poll question of the day had to do with the Alabama fandom's concern moving forward without Jam Miller.
That is absolutely correct, Pat. And you can go vote as we put these up each and every day on our Twitter at the number 3 Man Front. And today's question, Alabama will be without senior running back Jam Miller for their season opener against Florida State due to an upper body injury. His return date is yet to be known. So what is your level of concern during his absence? And we gave you 4 options. You're not concerned at all. The team's going to be just fine. Mild amount of concern. Running back depth will take a hit. Moderate amount of concern, the offense may struggle as a result of his absence, or major concern, your outlook for the entire season has now changed. And unsurprisingly, winning is right now 54% of the vote is mild concern. A lot of you, the majority of you thinking that the running back depth will take a hit, but it won't be a major problem for Alabama. No concern comes in next at 23%, moderate concern at 15%, and then only 8% of you think this has significant impact on the outlook of the whole season.
So how did you vote? Mild?
Mild, yes.
Well, we know you have talent there. Does it limit your playbook and what you're able to call if these other guys don't know the scheme? That would be a big effect. Do these other running backs behind Jam Miller not know how to block? Yeah, that would be an issue, right?
See, to me, that's the biggest thing.
That's the big thing.
It's pass protection.
But aside from that, we know all of these guys are talented. I don't look at the running back position because of the advent of offenses these days in college football as being as detrimental losing a guy like that as I used to. Now, it's different if you're Army or Navy or another team that's going to rely on a guy running it 40 times a game.
That's also why I think maybe a guy like a Dre Washington, who I brought up earlier, but the kid that transferred in from Louisiana has a lot of experience. Maybe that's not a guy that you see getting 15 touches a game, but from a aspect of he knows what it takes to be a running back in college football and how to block and do the little things right. Maybe that's a guy that has a role carved out for him because, like Pat said, I think pass protection is going to be the biggest concern there. But I also think there's optimism right now, or the hope is that Jam Miller is back for the Georgia game, which would be 5 weeks of rest from the injury on Saturday. Now, if he misses the Georgia game and it looks like it's going to expand past that, maybe then that's when more of the concern starts to set in when you get into SEC play for Alabama fans.
Now, what was the stat you gave this morning on the Damian Mitchell show with special guest Conrad Van Order?
Yes.
What was the stat you gave? That was a really good one in regards to the missing production at the rushing yards for Alabama.
Yeah, so last year, Alabama totaled 2,260 rushing yards on 479 carries. And last year, Jalen Milroe, Jam Miller, and Justice Haynes, who are all gone or injured in Jam Miller's case, combined for 1,842 of those yards on 392 carries, which comes out to 82% of all the rushing yards and carries from last year's offense. That will now be gone for what we expect at least the first 3 games of this season.
Now, those are the kind of inside numbers, Pat, you get with Damian at dawn.
Yes. Love the show.
Do you join?
Well, Conrad wasn't there Friday.
Once or twice a week?
Yeah, once or twice a week. Yeah, I wasn't there Friday. Pat had to fill in for
I love
me.
the pictures that you sent, though. They look really, really nice.
Oh, you got that?
Yeah. Were you guys able to relax?
Yeah, no, it was a good time. So we had got some time on the beach. Went to we spent a lot of time. They have a golf simulator down there that my dad's a member of, and it was like 110 was the feels like on Saturday, and we spent about 4.5 hours in the golf simulator. That was nice.
Bougie golf.
That was nice.
Well, obviously Las Vegas is extremely concerned over Jam Miller's absence for the Alabama Crimson Tide as they go on the road to Doak Campbell Stadium. I am sitting here looking at a live line as we speak. Alabama is currently a 13.5-point favorite over Florida State. That was tongue-in-cheek, obviously.
Well, and this is what I told Pat this morning, and if you disagree as an Alabama fan, let us know. If you lose to Florida State because of Jam Miller, or you want to think it's because of Jam Miller, there's a lot of bigger issues that team's going to have to figure out if you lose to a Florida State team that is going to be much better, I think, but they won 2 games last year. Jam Miller being out is not the reason you lose that football game, in my opinion.
I agree.
It should not be the reason.
So I found out last night that Doak Campbell Stadium is going to have a brand new field Did you read this? Did you know about this?
Oh, that's nice.
They are putting in a field today.
Rolling out the red carpet.
They had the massive stadium renovations there at Doak Campbell, which will make its debut against Bama on August 30th. So less than 2 weeks before Alabama comes to Tallahassee, the university is planning to install an entirely new playing surface. The work is scheduled to begin this morning, with the existing surface being removed and replaced with what they call in the business as a lay-in-play field. Basically, the field is grown off-site somewhere else. And then they basically cut it up, put it on rolls, then they bring it in. You've seen it done for Super Bowls, special games in Europe, soccer pitches. They use it a good bit of time. The cost of this field is $300,000 to $350,000. So people like FSU Dave must have given a lot of money, not only to NIL, but for them to have a brand new side for Alabama to come in there on August the 30th.
Do we know, are they going with a Tacoma like Arkansas has and I have in my backyard?
I do not have the exact. It's thicker. It is grown and harvested specifically to be played on immediately. I do not know the exact make of the grass. I'm sure FSU Dave will be texting in momentarily, so to let us know what it is. Also been told that unless it's a quarterback, as people are texting me, that you're not going to see much line movement. That was, if you listen to this show, those of you know that I'm a smartass, and I was being tongue-in-cheek when I said Vegas line movement. That was not serious, but some people apparently thought I was being serious.
Yeah, and maybe it goes up a half point or drops half a point, just depending on the wagers as we get closer to game time.
I will just say on social media this weekend, I saw a lot of Florida State yesterday, a lot of Florida State fans that maybe have a little extra pep in their step today, maybe feel a little bit of a certain type of way about that game now.
Why? Because Jam Miller's out?
Yeah, oh yeah. Very confident on social media.
Just because Jam Miller's out?
Correct. Very confident.
Okay.
But hey, you're starting the season at home.
Well,
got a new quarterback coming in.
Apparently, the Florida State fans
out.
haven't put their money where their mouth is because there's been no movement whatsoever on the line.
Well, social media is not real life. We know that.
Well, speaking of Florida State, one of their best quarterbacks of all time, Danny Cannell.
I love Danny.
Oh, Danny's a friend of the program.
Yeah, he's great.
Can't wait for his next visit on the show. So if you paid any attention over the weekend, this is very interesting. So ESPN released their initial FPI rankings back in June. And we have had people on from ESPN, and God love them, they have tried to explain to us the formula for an FPI, and God bless them, they've never been able to really explain to it to a degree where we understand it. I'm just being honest. Do you understand it?
No.
Okay. Conrad, do you understand it? Molly? No? I mean, we've got 4 college graduates in here. We're smarter than the average Bears. But really, honestly, we could not tell you.
I tried at one point to study it and to figure it out, and then it's like a lot of other things that I don't understand how gasoline is made.
Well, and I will tell you, I completely lost faith in the system where a couple years ago, Landrum, and you remember this because you and I were doing this show together. Mississippi State was the 9th-ranked team in the FPI.
This was not the 2014 year with Dak Prescott when they were number 1 in the playoff rankings and all that business.
No. And what happened, this was the end of the spring FPI. And then all of a sudden, by the time we got to July, they had fallen back to like 24th. Like they had made some type of adjustment, so to speak. So,
have you ever talked to anybody that understands FPI?
Well, Brad Edwards, who used to be a regular on this show, he worked for ESPN Stats and Information.
Brad understood it for the most part.
Yes.
Is what he would tell us.
Yeah. I mean, because we would ask him the same question almost every year when we got to this point. But anyway, so they kind of snuck in over the weekend. They have updated the FPI. And this is really going to be something that I'm sure Bama Hater really loves. Miami dropped from number 9 to 17. Clemson dropped from 11 to 16. Nothing has happened. 0. Nobody's been injured outside of Clemson's basketball player got arrested over the weekend. But there's been no big story that would manipulate the numbers, in my opinion, for either Miami or Clemson.
Well, anybody with 2 brain cells to put together would have Clemson in the top 10 of any ranking going into this season.
But did their opinion of certain other ACC teams that are on those 2 teams' schedule, did that change?
Maybe.
Where that went into the formula.
Perhaps.
I have no idea. I'm throwing darts here.
FBI hates Stanford. Hates them.
So ESPN system slashed the metrics of the ACC's top 2 contenders. So Miami goes from 9 to 17. Clemson goes from 11 to 16. So according to FPI, Miami's percentage chance to reach the college football playoff dropped from 46.3% to 35.9%. That is almost an 11% drop. Clemson's, meanwhile, dropped about 9%. It went from 47% to 38%. Now, this is the other thing that's got a lot of people talking about it. The Canes and Tigers both, they dropped behind Tennessee, who moved up 2 spots. Now, they officially named Joey Aguilar the quarterback yesterday, but this came out before Aguilar was named. Ole Miss moved up 3 spots. South Carolina moved up 4 spots. LSU was jumped by South Carolina and Ole Miss. Florida moved up 5 spots. Southern Cal moved up 5 spots. And Michigan moved up 2 spots. Must be because they're not postseason banned anymore, I guess. Maybe that's it. So for those 2 programs, Miami and Clemson, to fall for no reason whatsoever, had a lot of people, including Danny Cannell, going to social media. Take a listen to the former Florida State Seminole quarterback.
Oh boy, we got something fishy going on in college football, and the season hasn't even started yet. And it involves ESPN's Football Power Index, the good old FPI, my least favorite metric in all of sports. Shout out to CFB Kings on X for finding this gem after doing a little bit of legwork, checking some numbers, finding some discrepancies. So they discovered that back in June, ESPN's FPI had Clemson ranked 11th and Miami ranked 9th. But all of a sudden, since then, there's been a little tweak quietly that no one's brought up. Miami dropped all the way down to number 17, while Clemson's right there at number 16, despite no major significant news coming out of either program. And coincidentally, look who moved up since June. South Carolina moved up 4 spots, and good old Florida Gators moved up 5 spots. Must be all the good news around DJ Lagway, right? If you've been paying attention, you know that's not the reason. But one thing it's talking season. Since media days, the SEC has been talking nonstop about strength of schedule, how their teams are so much tougher than everybody else's. Maybe that's what they plugged into the numbers, which aren't supposed to take in conversations or talking points, but somehow, miraculously, here we are. South Carolina, to start, despite losing a significant portion of their roster, jumps up 4 spots. You know who should be livid? Brett Bielema, who beat this South Carolina team in their bowl game, brings back one of the most returning production of any team in college football, including their quarterback, Luke Altmaier. And guess where they check in? All the way down at number 37. It's absolutely ridiculous. Every Big 12 and ACC fan should be absolutely terrified of what this means, because there is going to be a significant push this season to keep in those teams from the SEC, despite having potentially 3 losses, to put them into the playoff over 10-2 and yes, even 11-1 teams. They are terrified that they'll only get 3 teams in, and once again, for the 3rd year in a row, potentially not having a team compete for the national championship. Something to be aware of. I wonder if ESPN will address this, but my hunch tells me no.
There you go, Danny Cannell, pretty much summarizing what we just were discussing. And all of us were laughing. His line about DJ Lagway was hilarious.
That was gold.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great.
That was fantastic.
Going back to last year, looking at the FBI preseason rankings, you had Georgia at 1, you had Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, Alabama came in at 5, then Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Penn State, Michigan, and Florida State rounded out the top 10. Other notables, you had Missouri at number 11, Utah at 12. We know how stellar that team was last season. LSU 13, Tennessee 14, Clemson came in at 15. Other notables, Oklahoma was 17 in the preseason FPI last year. Oklahoma State, remember how good that team was Would they win 3 games? They were number 18. You had Miami at 19, Arizona at 21. And the final team in last season's preseason FPI that was put out by ESPN on August the 19th of 2024, the Iowa Hawkeyes, Molly.
Boo.
So it was interesting because we remember where some of those teams finished last season.
And I mean, really the only thing I disagree with Danny on that part is him making it out like this is going to influence the college football playoff committee. The FPI rankings is going to somehow correlate to what or who ultimately gets in the playoff at the end. And maybe it will, right? Maybe we'll be able to look back and go, oh, okay, well, this does seem like the fix is in for the SEC or the Big Ten or whoever it was. But I think a lot of us look at the FPI the same way that Danny Cannell does, where it's a joke and we don't understand it. And it's a metric that's out there. We bring it up and then that's that. We move on.
Interesting times indeed with the FPI. That's a major conversation piece with a lot of people, including what you just heard from Danny Cannell, as Alabama currently, what are they in the FPI, if I'm not mistaken, third?
Third.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow. Ahead of Julian Sayan's Ohio State Buckeyes.
You know what? Looking back, last year, Alabama was actually 4th.
In the preseason?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think this is the preseason FPI. I will double check, but yeah, it has them 4th.
Okay. Well, is that old tree leaning a little bit too close to your house? Don't wait for the next storm to make that decision for you. You need to call Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443. Your trusted local experts in fast, affordable, and professional tree removal, trimming, and cleanup. Licensed and insured and ready to handle any job, big or small. Call Golston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443. Golston also offers that 24-hour emergency tree service. When it comes to your trees, don't risk it. Call Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443. More three-man front. We'll get to your text, your calls. Hugh Freeze at the bottom of the hour. This is Jox. We'll go down to Auburn, Alabama, coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll hear from Hugh Freeze as he meets with the media. News out of Auburn this morning, they have announced that during the Georgia game in October at Jordan-Hare Stadium, they will retire the number 2 of Cam Newton. He will become the 4th Auburn player to have his number retired. So nobody will ever wear the number 2 again at Auburn, which had not been distributed to our knowledge over the course since he left Auburn. So it will become official in October.
Yeah, from number 2 to number 1. Number 1 on my list, if you want quick, efficient, effective, you're going to get results fitness. You can find it at Mandu in downtown Homewood. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness, a lot of science involved. It's all FDA approved. When you go into your first visit, is absolutely free. They'll put you through the workout, put you in a suit. Electric pulses go to various parts of your body, whether it's shoulders, arms, chest, legs, glutes. You can work it all. You want to go total body, they can do that too. Varied programs for the people that have been in the gym just trying to fine-tune some things, and the people who have not stepped foot in a gym maybe ever. All ability levels, all ages. It's Mandu in downtown Homewood. The best part about it, because of the technology, a 15-minute workout, and that's all it is. 15 minutes of your time is the equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. Check it out, Mandu in downtown Homewood. MANDUU.com. Tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jox sent you.
So we're just talking about the FPI, ESPN's projections in regards to the top 25. Well, a couple other little preseason prognostications to pass along. Let's talk about Joel Klatt from Fox Television. He has released his college football playoff bracket and prediction. He has got Alabama making the college football playoff as a 9 seed. They would play Kansas State, who comes in as an 8 seed. So that game would be in Manhattan, Kansas. So Bama going to Manhattan.
We've seen that one recently.
To play the Power Cats. The winner of that game would get the number 1 seed, the Penn State Nittany Lions. How about that? Georgia would make it. They would be a 5 seed. They would host Boise. The winner of that game would play the 4th seed Ohio State Buckeyes. On the other side of the bracket, you would have number 11 Michigan. So Joel Klatt's got Michigan going to the college football playoff. They would go to Oregon in the first round. Meanwhile, the LSU Bengal Tigers will make the playoffs, according to Joel Klatt, and they will go to South Bend, Indiana. Wouldn't that be something? Brian Kelly makes the playoff, and he's got to go back.
That would be awesome.
Go back to Notre Dame and play that game. The winner of that game would play number 2 Texas. The winner of Michigan and Oregon would play Clemson. So if you're keeping score at home, he's got 4 SEC teams in the college football playoff, with Texas being the only one that would have a bye. Georgia would host Boise, Bama on the road against Kansas State, LSU on the road against Notre Dame.
Oregon, and you said Oregon would host Michigan in that scenario?
Correct. And the winner would play Clemson.
Don't you go with that all duck yellow if you're playing them?
Yes, absolutely.
And the final preseason top 25 that we may mention as we get ready for kickoff on Saturday, the most important one, the Pro Football Focus top 25 just came out.
I feel like we need
a drum roll?
A drum roll or music, just something playing up. This is the one that we wait for, people.
I mean, forget about the Associated Press top 25. Forget about the coaches poll top 25.
That's why we go through the exercises of so many preseason polls. It leads up to Pro Football Focus.
Well, some folks in our audience, they will, I think, applaud this top 25. You know,
some will hate it.
Pro Football Focus has been very high on certain position groups for both Alabama and Auburn.
Yep.
So, Conrad busting out his snare drum. That's it? That's all you got?
Apparently.
Okay.
I really didn't know what I was going to get with that.
A little anticlimactic, but okay. Coming in at number 25, the Auburn Tigers.
Hey, Hugh, you're on the clock.
So this is the first top 25 poll that I've seen that Auburn is preseason top 25.
All right.
Right?
There you go.
Am I correct there?
That sounds right, yeah.
Okay. They're at 25. Michigan 24. Ole Miss 23. Tennessee 22. There's the Power Cats from Manhattan.
Lane can take a shot at Hugh today.
At 21. Utah at 20. SMU 19. Louisville 18. Texas Tech 17. Arizona State 16. You got South Carolina, then Illinois, Texas A&M, Indiana, Miami. Now we get into the top 10. Florida, LSU, Georgia at 8. Oregon at 7. Notre Dame at 6. Here we go, folks. We're now to the top 5. I haven't mentioned Alabama yet, have I?
No.
Okay.
You hadn't mentioned Penn State either.
Sorry, Molly. Nebraska did not make the Pro Football Focus top 25.
I'm kidding.
Coming in at number 10, Julian Sayin and his Ohio State Buckeyes at number 5.
Okay, so they're at 5.
Okay.
At 4, Kalen DeBoer's Alabama Crimson Tide. 3, Penn State. So we've got 2 obvious teams that's left available for 1 and 2. Who do you think they got?
Well, Texas is going to be 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Georgia, right? That's the only one that's
No, Georgia's already been listed. They're 8.
Georgia's 8.
Did you say Clemson?
Then it's Clemson.
I have not mentioned the school from Austin or the team from Clemson, South Carolina. According to Pro Football Focus, the Texas Longhorns is number 2.
Oh!
And the Clemson Tigers are the preseason number 1 team in America, according to Pro Football Focus.
If I'm Dabo, I'm hanging up the FPI ranking, not that one, in the locker in the weight room.
So which is it? Is the FPI saying they're, 16? Or the Pro Football Focus that says you're number 1? Time will tell.
I would lean closer to 1 than I would 16.
Yes, I agree. When we come back, we'll go to Auburn, Alabama. Hope to catch up and hear from Hugh Freeze, the football coach at the Auburn University. That's next on 3 Man Front. It is 11:31. Let's go to Auburn, Alabama. Let's hear from Coach Hugh Freeze as he addresses the media on this Monday.
Being a good. We're affecting the quarterback, at least in against us. We are, but we got to cage him once he's out of there, or that can create explosive plays. I think both Jackson, Deuce, and Ashton, all three, are really good at keeping their eyes up when those things happen, and created some explosive plays that really, you would hope are not explosive plays. So we had a period on that today where it was just a team pass, and hadn't got to watch it yet. But we were this is a weird kind of week because, we're simulating next week, which today's a Tuesday, and we have class at 11 o'clock on Monday, so it was tight, and so I hadn't had a chance to watch the film. But I thought defensively in the scrimmage, they did really well. Tackled well again, guarded well, just gave up a few too many explosive plays, and offensively, good thing, zero turnovers, which was nice. We had some really solid, good, dirty runs that keep us ahead of the chains. Through the RPO game well, but the drop back game still needs some improving for sure. But definitely thought we took a step forward in those areas.
What do you look for now, offensive line-wise, especially as you start to settle in and
instead of staying in his gap, I think he was a little aggressive getting over the top to the double team, which makes it really hard for it to hit front side. But if it does roll back side, there's a problem. But boy, their effort and passion that they play the game with is, I couldn't be more pleased. But those six guys kind of rotate in and out, no matter what group we're in.
Hugh, when you look at Jackson Arnold and his ability to run the football, obviously you can't really do that. I mean, you don't want him to get hit. You're blowing the whistle early. How do you sort of, I guess, evaluate the impact he probably will have on Saturdays, but he hasn't been able to show it during fall camp? Yeah. You don't want to hit him.
I asked Cam Newton that the other day because I don't know. It's our offensive staff's very, they're frustrated when you're in a scrimmage and you don't feel like you're getting maybe the yards that you would have gotten because the whistle's just getting blown and somebody gets near him in the pocket, it gets blown, and then you watch the film, you're like, I'm pretty confident he got out of this one. Now, I don't know what would have happened afterwards. I would love to see. I don't know how you do that really until it's real. We've seen enough tape to know he has that ability, and you see it out there. I mean, we called a few today, and you're still blowing it pretty quick, but I have to see the film, but it looked like I think you're clicking off 5, 6, 7 yards there, and not just him, Ashton also, and Deuce. So that's a really good question, and one I haven't found the answer to exactly how to accurately evaluate that until it gets real.
Hugh, you were saying the offense made some explosive plays in the scrimmage on Friday. Some of the backs and receivers who made those plays, can you tell us anything about those?
Omar had a big explosive catch for a touchdown, which was nice to see. Damari had 2 explosive runs, had a really tough, hard-nosed run that scored a touchdown. Cam had a explosive long pass, as did Horatio. That's the ones that jump out. But Omar and then Cobb had 2 really explosive runs today. So we got to get more consistent. But really, we've improved from week 1 to week 2 in run game, RPO game. I think it's more of the pocket passing right now that I'm a little unsure of. It's kind of like we were just talking about with the quarterback runs. this I hope is I've always felt like this in fall camp. I think it's hopefully harder on the offense than it will be later in games. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I'm excited about the athleticism of our defense, and we've got to improve even. But they also, since February, have been going against each other and know, oh, this is a pass, and I'm fisting to get after it. And that puts you at kind of a disadvantage. And hopefully that won't always be the case when you're playing an opponent. But I think there's definitely been signs of improvement that get me excited about us, but still feel like that pocket is getting collapsed a little too quick.
You mentioned it just then with the pocket, but where do you want to see those guys most improve, I guess, in that area the next 2 weeks? And then how ready would you say Deuce is, from watching him in camp?
He's getting better. I think, as far as sitting in there and making a throw, he's ready. He can do that. There's still things, setting protections is new. And that's kind of an issue that he still has growth to do in it. Maybe recognizing a little, our defense is doing a really nice job of disguising things, and all of them are missing some of that. It's even hard for us as coaches when you're watching film to see it. They're doing a really nice job. So I think he's just got to improve in the mental side of it. Physically, he can make all the throws right now. So I wouldn't hesitate to throw him in a game. Hopefully we'll start tomorrow, trying to really get these. We haven't studied. We got the base down plan in, but we don't have, hey, all right, how are we setting these protections? And so we'll start working that tomorrow, and hopefully all of them will feel better about, that aspect of it by mid next week.
Dan Peck, ESPN 106.7. Coach, you mentioned Jeremiah and Omar. What can you say about the picture at running back, and sort of what are the factors that will ultimately decide who's out there?
DeMar is the most complete right now, along with Cobb, most experienced, understanding of who we are, what we do, what they're supposed to do in the RPO game if it's not given to them. And I am excited about, Omar also and Darrell. Alvin is going to be fine. He's been dinged up and hadn't been able to get many reps the last 4 or 5 practices. So hard to say much about that, but I think Damari and Cobb and Omar and Darrell are all getting better, every practice.
We've seen Jeremiah the last couple of years kind of be involved a little bit. How much has he progressed as a complete runner, and what have you seen him maybe improve the most at?
Well, we'll see. I think he's going to have a breakout year. Y'all know we went through 3 or 4 days last week where all of our slot guys were down. So we threw him back out there like we did last year some, and he's got a good football IQ and has that capacity for us to be able to use him in a lot of different ways, whether in the pass game or now he's struggling a little in the pass game right now because he still has that brace on the thumb, and catching's not real natural. But I think he gets out of that first of next week. So he's very versatile, and we can use him in a lot of ways, and I do expect him to have kind of a breakout year. He's probably got the best burst in the open field of any that we have.
Hugh, I know you talked a little bit about Deuce, but just wanted to ask you about kind of the picture at quarterback behind Jackson. Just how are things going as far as deciding a quarterback too, and how have Deuce and Ashton looked in that regard?
Pleased with both. Think that there's a place for both depending on the scenario in the game. Without giving away too much, I think there's a place for both of those guys that you could play to their strengths, and we won't be afraid to do that.
You mentioned now, starting this week and into next week, that you're on that Friday schedule in preparation for Baylor. But in terms of the Bears themselves, have you guys started on prep for that? How has that looked like, and when will all that really get ramped up?
Yeah, we started back in June, trying to get a head start on our first couple of games so that we feel like we're in a decent spot. So yesterday was and Saturday was a good day to kind of refresh ourselves on all right, what do we feel good about in base downs, and who really are they? Give me the overview again. And so yeah, we're mixing it in. We're still going good on good, so it's not like we haven't broken up and gone scout teams yet. Today we did one period of offense defensive choice where we tell them what we want and they make it look as close as they can, and then they do the same for 10 plays. So but I think right now keeping the speed of the game up is important, and the physicality of it. And so we serviced each other, and we'll do that again tomorrow, and then we'll start kind of really, all right, let's get us now a true scout period, a day headed into the weekend.
Hugh, you talked throughout the summer at the beginning of camp, you want a handful of defensive tackles to be able to play 10, 15 snaps and buy into that.
Yep.
Throughout camp. How have you seen those guys buy into it, and just how do you feel about the depth and the rotation you guys got there right now?
I'll have to keep preaching it because I know kids, and I know that they read and they listen, and just man, I'm hopeful. And DJ and his staff have done a really nice job to this point of, man, getting those guys to buy into their strength in numbers. And I've never had an NFL scout, not one, ever asked me how many snaps somebody played. It's about what you do with the ones you have, and to this point, man, they hadn't seemed to affect any of them. And again, they treat those just like they do the linebackers. I have no idea which two are coming out in the first team period, and it's just a constant rotation, of those guys inside. And I'm hopeful and that we can continue to capture them with that mindset of, man, I don't know how many I'm getting, but I'm going to, the ones I do get, I'm going to do with high motor, great execution, and assignment is correct.
Coach, what are you looking for out of the tight end position this year? You went out and got Preston. Brendan Fraser's healthy. Just your assessment of that group?
Yeah, I think we still have a ways to go in some areas. I think Preston's doing a remarkable job in the pass game. He knows how to work the top end of routes. He's got really good hands. B. Frazier does too. I think in the run game, we've got to be more physical. Our pad level has to get better. And Tate is helping us some with that, but also you're a bit limited, when that's the case. It's not like we're going to ask Tate to run a 13-yard dig and win on somebody. And I think people will know that. Nothing against Tate, but that's really not his skill set. And so I do think we've got to continue to improve our physicality there and deciding, how do we best manipulate that and play calls to give them the best leverage, the best angles, the best opportunity to be successful.
You mentioned preparing for Baylor. Early season prep is always tough, but how much tougher is it now in this transfer world where maybe you don't know as much personnel? Do you have to lean more on coaches and past than you do maybe in years past? Yeah,
that was the question I asked yesterday, is just kind of give me the intel on their additions. They have a lot of returning, and they finished their season really strong, and most have them picked to do well in their conference, if not play for the championship in it. So, plus the additions. And so we've done our research on what the additions are. You're not quite sure exactly how they fit into their depth chart right now with the number of returners that they have, but I'm certain it added value to them in some ways. So, but really, we're not going to change a whole lot offensively from what we've done in the past, and I doubt Dave's going to change a whole lot of what it's been really good to him, and he knows what he's doing on the defensive side, and their OC's been around a long time, and he may have a wrinkle here or a wrinkle there, but most of us are going to do what we do, and then we'll have to figure out if you get in the game and you're like, oh gosh, these two guys here, they're war daddies and we're having a problem, then you've got to make adjustments. But I don't know that you start doing that right now until you kind of plan for who you think they are schematically.
That is Hugh Freeze down at Auburn. We will continue to listen in, see if he has any other headlines. Very interesting comments about the quarterback situation. We'll break that down for you next. This is Three Man Front on Jox. We got to hear about 15 minutes of Hugh Freeze on this Monday. Talked a little bit about Omar Mapson. Had a very good run during the scrimmage on Friday. He also mentioned the fact that there's a place for both Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight to be used depending on the scenarios. He said that quarterback Deuce Knight has made steady progress during the preseason. He's making all the throws right now. I wouldn't hesitate to throw him in the game.
Yeah, that makes Auburn fans sigh, I think, with there's situationally areas for for Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight. Something that he has continued to harp on is the drop back passing game and the pocket passing and what that looks like. And he alluded to the fact that maybe it's the Auburn DBs knowing when they're going to pass, but he said that has been a struggle. And hopefully when the other team doesn't know exactly what you're going to be doing, that makes it easier for the Auburn offense, but not really sure what to make of that yet.
He also is hopeful that Auburn's strength in numbers approach will work on the defensive front. And it helps out when you got a guy like Keldrick Falk.
It does.
That helps out a lot.
And based on reports, some of the younger guys that are able to hold their own and they made significant gains in the weight room and also with just their bodies, you would hope so. But Keldrick Falk's the guy we knew was the interior of that defensive line. And who were going to be those guys? Do you have disruptors? And it sounds like, while youthful, they do have some guys that DJ Durkin feels like they can win with, Conrad.
Yeah, I think you got to be happy if you're an Auburn fan knowing that going into fall camp, right, the two bigger question marks, or probably the biggest, were defensive line and linebacker, right? And what were those two groups going to look like? And everything that we've heard, defense clearly has had their way with the offense a good number of times in fall camp. But like you said, a lot of those young guys, just their athleticism kind of jumping off the field there for a lot of the people that have gotten to watch it. So that's a good sign. When your biggest question mark maybe turns into one of the groups you feel better about coming out of fall camp, that's always a positive.
Auburn currently a 2-point favorite. That thing has vacillated back and forth. It opened up Auburn as about a 2.5-point favorite. Then it got down to a pick 'em. Baylor for a very short time, they were about a 0.5-point, 1-point favorite. Now it's swung back to the other side. Auburn a 2-point favorite, minus 135 on the money line. The over-under for that game is 58. Does that mean you like the under?
No, I think I like the over in this game.
I was about to say, I think Hugh Freeze is going to want to score some points. And Baylor's offense is pretty solid.
So you would take the over as well?
Yeah, I would go. Yeah, I would take the over, and I am still with a lean towards Auburn in that game. I think Auburn will get it done.
Looking at some other point spreads for the first weekend, this weekend, it's so nice to say, week 0 games. Kansas State is a field goal favorite in Dublin against Iowa State. Kansas opening up their brand new stadium, a 12.5-point favorite against Fresno. You've got Western Kentucky at home hosting Sam Houston State. They are a 10-point favorite. And the final game of the night, that's a 6:30 kickoff in the Hawaiian Islands as the Hawaii Fighting Rainbows, 2-point favorite over Stanford.
It's so wild seeing that game and it not kicking off at 11 p.m.
I know, right? And they did get some good news last week in Honolulu as it was announced that they have worked out a deal where they're going to build about a 35,000-seat stadium. They're tearing down the old Aloha Stadium, the stadium that Landrum and I grew up watching. That's where the NFL Pro Bowl was always held.
That's where Hawaii's still playing games late at night.
Yep.
When you didn't have a bunch of games to choose from, that was the only game you watched Hawaii football.
And also, I don't know if you knew this, but back in the day, Honolulu, they had the AAA franchise, I believe, for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh, well, that would have been the best part of being in that organization then.
Well, this was back.
Not if you needed the guy
when they were actually good.
Not if you needed the guy the next day.
But what's so odd is a AAA team that is 5 time zones over from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, if you need to call up somebody,
By the way, I was looking at trends. Auburn playing on a Friday night. It says here the last time that they played on a Friday was against Alabama in the 2010 Iron Bowl.
Well, that one worked out for them, didn't it?
If you've got another time that Auburn has played on a Friday since then, text the show, 205-834-9450. There on the Jox text line. We continue college football field because it's game week. 3-man front and Jox.
It is 12 noon. Welcome back in. This is football week. Man, couldn't get here fast enough. 5 days away from the official beginning of week 0 as college football gets underway. High school football in the state of Alabama starts Friday night.
How does your field look with the Artec tractor?
Oh, my goodness. It was fantastic. Got out there Saturday and barely broke a sweat. That's what's so awesome about it. Whereas before, I'd lost about 10 pounds pushing the lawnmower, cutting grass. Looks good. Got it cut low like you have suggested because Landrum's going to be designing a couple holes in my backyard.
Yep.
So including the elevated green, which I'm really looking forward to. So
it's gonna be beautiful.
I am doing exactly what you told me to do. So getting it done.
So you can practice your Scotty Scheffler 80-foot chip in.
He's actually got that shot. He's got that shot in his yard naturally from the lower area to where Pat did these rocks.
Yep.
A few years ago, and that will be the base, if you will, the wall, the face of that green, where the green is going to be on an elevated surface.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that 81-footer.
That was insane.
He's got that potential shot.
Speaking about insane, speaking of golf, I know we outside the majors, we don't talk a lot of golf on this show, especially live golf. But on Sunday, John Rahm won the Live Golf Individual Championship. Not a big surprise. Outstanding golfer from Spain, graduated from Arizona State. Hello to all the Tempe folks listening.
I like Rahm.
I do too. He got an $18 million bonus for winning the Live Golf Individual Championship.
Whew, and I think Scotty Scheffler won $3.5 million for the BMW over the weekend.
So this weekend alone, John Rahm earned as much this weekend as any golfer in the PGA Tour this entire season, for the exception of Scotty Scheffler. One weekend on the Live Golf, winning that championship, an $18 million bonus. Pays to play golf, kids.
I don't think that's what the Maxi League was paying in Happy Gilmore, too.
So he just earned what Marcell Ozuna is earning for this entire season.
Mm-hmm. For winning the individual Live Golf Championship. $18 million bonus.
He just earned what Jim Nance, I think, makes in his annual contract.
For working a whole year. Yep.
I wish I made $18 million in a year. Yeah. I'll take that in a whole year.
How about 1.8?
How about just the 8?
I was about to say,
just the 8.
I'll take a tenth of that.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to Alex Scarboro earlier in the program. Great interview from Bama 247 writer. If you missed it, you can go back and download the 3-Man Front podcast. He gave us the very latest. Jam Miller, upper body injury during Saturday's scrimmage. He had a procedure done. He is going to be out there. Hopeful that they would be, able to get him back maybe by the Georgia game in Athens. So time will tell and see how that heals. We heard from Hugh Freeze about 30 minutes ago, talking about his quarterbacks, very happy with what he has seen. He says that there is packages that they have been working on that would include both Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight. And he said that he would not hesitate in a heartbeat to put Deuce Knight in a game if need be.
I know it's not indicative of future performances, whether it's Knight or Ashton Daniels coming off the bench, but I think the thing that Auburn fans fear because of the struggles in the red zone last year, you were really good 20-20. But Conrad getting into the red zone, and then all of a sudden you're bringing in a bunch of different substitutions, a new quarterback who has not been in the game, going away from what's working to do something cute.
Yeah, the only problem is you don't have a fun, we had Red Zone Robbie.
Yeah.
You don't have that with these two guys, so you got to come up with something new there. But yeah, no, I think that would be a fair concern because that's something we've seen recently that did not really work out. But hopefully you don't have those issues, and Jackson Arnold's the guy. And, hey, if you have a package for those guys, absolutely. That's great. But you want Jackson Arnold to be the guy even in the 20. You want that.
When he's specifically talking about the drop back game, I wonder if he's alluding to all of the quarterbacks, or is this specifically, and if it was, I'm sure that he wouldn't single him out, a Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Good question.
Auburn Athletics also announced this morning that the 2010 Heisman Trophy winner Cam Newton's number 2 jersey, he is going to be officially have that retired on October the 11th. That is the Georgia game at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Newton's number 2 jersey will now join Pat Sullivan, number 7, Bo Jackson, number 34, Terry Beasley at 88, as former Tiger football players to have their jersey retired. Sullivan and Beasley's jerseys were retired following Sullivan's 1971 Heisman Trophy Center season, and Jackson's jersey was retired as part of Auburn's football centennial celebration back in 1992.
Some would argue, and I wouldn't blame you for doing it, most impactful, best college football player in a single season that we've ever seen.
I would say the best single season of any college football player. But hey, maybe a little bit of confidence there, making it the Georgia game weekend. Imagine how, you want to talk about people in Auburn losing their minds. If you upset Georgia on the same day that you retire Cam Newton's jersey, that will be a very special day on the Plains if they're able to pull that off.
Cam Newton, his ability, watching him play that year, if you were an Auburn fan or if you weren't, you had to ask yourself, is this real? Like one of those players where you're watching what he's doing and going, is this real?
Yeah, and we've talked about a lot with the talent that he had around them or lack thereof. Not saying that he didn't have solid players around him, but in terms of what they would ultimately become in the NFL, he didn't have that.
He had Darvin Adams.
It was a one-man wrecking show, and it was the Cam Newton show. He was incredible.
Yeah, to me, the LSU game when he literally went into another gear. Remember
Patrick Peterson.
When he ran for the touchdown right down the middle. It was just like, oh, wow. That, to me, that was the Heisman Trophy right there.
Yeah.
Like when that happened, it was like, there it is. Mark it down. That's going to happen. Very, very odd national championship game against Oregon.
Yep.
It was.
Just you were expecting a lot of fireworks from both teams. And I remember, and I've told this story before, but being there inside that stadium and walking on the field, I was wearing tennis shoes, and I was sliding. I think Auburn had to change their cleats a couple times during the game. And we've talked about this before because it was just like what Florida State's going to put in for the Alabama game. It's a field that has grown elsewhere, and there in Arizona, it was grown outside, and it's on railroad tracks, and then they bring it in. And then when you get a sold-out capacity, you've got all that carbon monoxide in the stadium, and all of a sudden dew starts developing on the grass.
So is it the same problem because they had that same problem with the Super Bowl at that same stadium a couple years ago?
Yeah, because you're in the desert, and it's nice during the day in the 70s in January, and then you go inside and you know.
Did it smell like fertilizer in there?
Yeah, it smelled like a circus.
Yeah.
I remember I was standing there next to Paul, and I was like going, did we just step in something? Like, what is going on here? It literally smelled like you're in the big tent at Ringling Brothers. It was weird. And then
they were using organic fertilizer, apparently.
We were slipping, sliding, just walking on it, and then the players were having issues during the game. It was not a very good playing surface.
Might have had some chicken poo in it.
Well, it wasn't like 19-16 or something. Wasn't that the final score? It was like a weird final score.
It was a weird score.
Yeah.
So
if you had the under, you won.
Yeah. Yes.
Also, that was the first stadium I'd ever been to that the press box was in the end zone. Because, NFL stadiums, because up until a couple of years ago, all college stadiums, the press box was in between.
It's on the 50-yard line, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would be between the 30s.
Yeah.
And so basically all these colleges have decided, you know what, we can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because our high rollers, we'll build suites.
Yep.
And then we'll find somewhere else to put the media. So both at Bryant-Denny and Jordan-Hare now, try being a radio broadcaster and you're broadcasting from the corner of an end zone. That's bad stuff.
You limited view, and you're having to watch a monitor.
Pretty much. You can call it from somewhere else. You probably don't even have to be at the stadium, to be honest with you.
It's not a whole lot of fun if you do play-by-play to call it from a monitor.
No.
No, we saw that enough during the pandemic, I think.
So, but that was a heck of a season for Cam Newton, and his number will be retired. And, we want to do something to kind of get everybody fired up for the season. And we thought it'd be a great opportunity to put together a little montage that will give you a remembrance of what took place last year, some of the highlights of the college football season, and hopefully what we're going to get starting this weekend.
Under head coach Mike Norvell, Florida State has blocked 5 kicks in opponent's season openers. 3 against Georgia Tech. Snap, spot, kick is on the way. Headed through the uprights. It's good. And Georgia Tech has shocked the Seminoles here in Dublin.
Ball on the near side hash. Moss and company with 13 seconds calls for the snap. Hands it off to Marks. Marks with room up the middle, and Marks into the end zone on the ground. And USC takes a 26-20 lead with 8 seconds remaining here in Las Vegas. Now make it 5 straight to start the season. The Tigers just cannot grab victory.
He's lining it up. 5 seconds left. NIU up 16-14. 62-yarder. Snap, hold, Jeter's kick. It's blocked! It's blocked! It's blocked! Picked up by NIU! Picked up by NIU! The Huskies have done it! The Huskies with the biggest upset in NIU history! They come to South Bend, Indiana, and they knock off the number 5 team in the country.
From the 43-yard line for Colorado, here's the ball game. Snap back to Shedeur Sanders. Rolls left, has time, being chased. He throws it for the end zone. It is... Oh, he may have caught it. He did! It's a catch for a touchdown by LaJonte Wester on the last play in regulation.
From the 25, Milrow will sling it. Far sideline, near sideline rather. And Williams makes an adjustment, makes the catch, spins away from 2 Georgia defenders, breaks away from another, and he's going to go in the end zone for a touchdown up the near sideline. We had 2 guys, couldn't catch him. Snap back to Beck in the pocket, throwing for the end zone in the back corner. It's intercepted. Trying to go to Colby Young. Pass was short, intercepted by Brown, the freshman cornerback.
4 men behind him, 3 deep. Salter running to his right. Salter throws to the right sideline, out of bounds. The clock is expired. Give me liberty. Kennesaw State ends the undefeated season for the Flames and secures its first ever FBS victory.
4 seconds to go. You're an offensive receiver. Keep that ball alive. Last play. Hail Mary. Huff gets it off. Gets to the end zone. And it drops! Touchdown! Cam Vaughn behind the pile. Incredible!
The referee looks at his watch. He blows the whistle. It's the greatest day. And every man, woman, and child stands to applaud. Pouring joys, sweet mother of Jesus, they have pulled off the unthinkable. Gallium Abu.
Oh, just a precursor of hopefully a very exciting 2025 college football season. Water doesn't need to find an invitation to get into your crawl space or into your house, bringing along mold, mildew, pests, and wood rot. You need to call APS. That's Alabama Professional. Go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com, or 205-951-9717. The APS crawl space encapsulation system, it seals out moisture, blocks pests, and can help even reduce your energy bills. And with added protection, your crawl space becomes usable, viable storage space. Call them today, 205-951-9717, or go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com.
A lot of your texts coming in. It is Reaction Monday here in this first week or week 0 of college football. We'll get to those as we continue on this Monday. 3-man front, your home for college football and more. Jox. 12:17, 3-man front on this Thursday. A lot of interaction as we always get on the Jox text line. We'll get to those texts now. 205-834-9450 if you've never joined the show or never remembered the text line number. This is a good question going back to Cam Newton. His jersey going to be retired for the Georgia game coming up this season. What would Cam Newton's one-year NIL deal had been worth? Apparently, it was worth six figures on the black market. Crimson Convict. $180,000 was the specified amount, right? That depends. Out of Blinn Junior College, NIL, But had Cam come back, played another season after what he did in that Heisman Trophy National Championship campaign at Auburn in 2010, my guess would be 1 year, $5 million.
And, based on inflation of the last 15 years, that's about a 2.65 increase on inflation. So that would be the equivalent of $266,000 today if he received $180,000 in 2010.
So you might say that was a steal?
And I saw a report, what was it, yesterday or something on social media? It had the top 15 NIL deals. Did you see that? Where supposedly Ryan Williams is making $2.7 million at Alabama.
Time to produce.
And he was like, John Mateer was ahead of Ryan Williams. He was making more than Ryan Williams.
Yeah, quarterback.
Alan says, tell me how Auburn has not retired Carnell Williams' jersey as of yet.
It's a good question.
He's a really good player. Didn't win a Heisman Trophy. If you're going to retire Carnell's, do you retire Ronnie Brown's too?
I can understand wanting to reserve it for the people that win a national championship or win a Heisman Trophy. I think that's admirable. But yeah, I think if you were to go past that, Carnell Williams would be probably the first person or one of the first people you would throw on that list.
Do you wish Alabama retired numbers?
No, we wouldn't have any numbers left to give out, Pat.
No, I think the Yankees have disproved that.
That's true. That's a good point. No, I mean, it's never bothered me.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Does Nebraska retire numbers?
Yeah, I think Johnny Rogers is retired.
DeBoer collared shirt, alternate uniforms, then retired numbers.
Yeah, I want the black uniforms before the retired numbers.
Is Scott Frost retired in Nebraska?
No.
Uncle Jerry from Hayden, watch what I'm telling you. Look for the field to be wet at FSU before the game. Old Gopher Gus wet the field a few years ago down at the barnyard trying to slow our backs and receivers. RTR, the number 4, life, all caps, football emoji. The Georgia play-by-play radio crew needs to show as much negative emotion in his calls when Georgia gives up a big play as he does positive emotion when they do something good. It's not the way it works, typically.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, you're the hometown announcer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're doing a national broadcast, yes.
Yeah.
But you are playing to your fan base.
Yeah, not only are you playing to your fan base, you are talking intimately with that coaching staff. You are traveling with that coaching staff and that team. You are essentially a part of that team. So why would you be excited about something?
Correct.
To their detriment. Justin says, tell Pat I work on a grounds crew at a country club. I can get him some cups, poles, and flags if he seriously wants to make a few holes in his yard. We are serious about this project, Justin. I will speak for Pat. As a designer, I'm going to get everything set for him where he can maintain it, kind of like MLB did at Rickwood a few years ago. What I'm going to need from you, Pat doesn't know it yet, we are going to have a bunker.
Oh,
that will protect one side of one of the greens. We will have a bunker, so I'm going to need a rake.
When you already have the built-in water hazard with the moat, too, so that makes it a little more interesting as well.
Well, we could be... The moat water actually will help to irrigate and keep the green.
There you go.
We're going to... Yeah. Conrad, this is for you.
Which one would that be?
Oh, no. Never mind. I thought this was fantasy football. Somebody suggested we do a snake draft. Each draft 3 to 5 players each on who y'all think will win the Heisman. Can we do it with something other than the Heisman?
Like what?
I don't know, but it just seems like the Heisman Trophy.
Coaches to be fired first?
That would
Is
be
that more
good.
fun?
Probably. Somebody saying they cannot remember Auburn playing on a Friday since 2010. Of course, next Friday night in Waco, they'll do it again. And Michael says 3 things you can rely on happening. Number 1, death. 2, taxes. 3, Danny Cannell whining about the SEC.
Good old Danny.
Oh, that Danny person, I've never heard of her. One of our listeners chimes in. And Florida State University's Doak Campbell Stadium, sent to us by Sky, according to our friends at AI, is going to be Northbridge Bermuda grass.
All right.
That'll be nice.
Here's my question. If they beat Bama, do they allow the fans to storm the field?
Yes.
And tear up the new field?
Yes.
They will?
You just won 2 games last year. This is the team that in their eyes kept them out of the playoff 2 years ago, and you're going to beat them on your home field to start this season? Yes, they will storm the field.
Will you storm the field with FSU Dave?
I will not.
I didn't know if you would storm the field going after Kalen DeBoer.
No, I'll be.
We have a texter going after a previous text from this thread. Uncle Jerry, his comment about wetting the field at FSU before the game, he said old Gopher Gus wet the field a few years ago at the Barnyard, talking about Jordan here trying to slow down our backs and receivers. And this response says, wouldn't that slow down Gus's team? Go poison a tree, Gump. College football season is here.
That's good. That's fun.
I like that.
That's fun.
Talking about Auburn retiring Scam Newton's jersey, the only thing I can think about is when Harvey Updike called in the Feinbaum show talking about him poisoning the tumors. Oaks, Pat, what was your reaction when he called in? You worked with Paul then, right? ? Love the show. Darren from Tennessee.
Yeah, briefly. I was in my office right down the hallway from the studio. I heard the call come in. I immediately came down to our phone screener and I said, who is this individual? Because I don't remember him ever calling before. I said, this just sounds different. And he told us that he had poisoned the trees. And by the time I got back down to my office, I had a phone call from the senator's office, Senator Shelby's office in Washington, D.C., wanting to know if this was a real situation. And then I got a call from the Auburn Police Department. Everybody wanted tapes of the show, which we obviously obliged. And then I get a call from the FBI saying that they're looking at potentially a Homeland Security, Homeland terrorist action. So, yeah, it was a lot of phone calls and a lot of activity right after that. And obviously took a couple weeks, but they got him, and then the rest is history.
So in the moment when you're hearing the phone call, you think he's probably full of crap, right? Like you think there's no way he actually did the thing that
I'll be honest with you. I mean, we back then we would take about 110 phone calls every day on the show. A majority of those phone calls obviously came from the same group of people. But there were times that when you would hear a particular phone call, you would go, hold on a second. Because this is what we do for a living. We recognized, or at least I did, that this call was different. Just like when we got a call back in 1993 that Alabama was going to go on probation because Antonio Langham had signed his name on a napkin in New Orleans after the Sugar Bowl win against Miami, and that he was going to be ruled ineligible for the SEC championship game against Florida in 1993. You hear things and you just immediately go, that sounds legitimate. And when Harvey Updike called in, we immediately said, Paul kind of blew it off on the air, but the rest of us was like, hold on a second. This guy's never called in before. You could tell by his tenor. It was like, this is something to this. And so happens it was.
Horrible thing that man did.
Yep, sure was.
All right, we got more text. We'll get to 205-834-9450.
Mike Newton from Rickwood, the Friends of Rickwood. He's going to join us next. Today is the 115th anniversary of Rickwood Field opening the doors. We'll talk to Mike about that and what else is brewing there at the wonderful venue there in the wonderful area near Princeton Hospital. All that next on Three Man Front. A historic day in Birmingham and across the world of baseball. 115 years ago today, something very important took place in Birmingham, Alabama. And joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, our good friend Mike Newton from the Friends of Rickwood. He joins us now on this very special day. Mike, I hope you're doing well.
Yes, doing great. Out here at the ballpark right now and just kind of reminiscing as to what it may have looked like 115 years ago.
It is amazing. For those that may not have ever had the opportunity of going out to Rickwood Field, and you guys have just done an incredible job keeping up the venue as a wonderful baseball facility. But take us back 115 years and how it all came together and a little bit of history about Rickwood Field.
Yeah, so actually I'll turn back the clock even one more year prior to that. In 1909, the Birmingham Barons, they were playing Class A ball in the Southern Association at West End Park, and the field was also known as the Slag Pile. That doesn't really bode well to have that name, and it was really an open field with not a whole lot of pizzazz to it. It was not kept that well or anything, and the Barons were in the middle of having 3 consecutive poor seasons at the time, and the fans were getting restless. They didn't like going there. They didn't like watching a losing team, and the field was in such horrible shape. It's even documented, you'll laugh at this, that one time the grass was so high there was a ground ball hit to the side of the shortstop that went past him a little bit, and it was lost in a hole, resulting in an inside the park home run. And so maybe it's the shortest inside the park home run on record, who knows. But yeah, and then finally in January of 1910, a local industrialist in the steel industry by the name of A.H. Woodward, who was known best to his friends as Rick, came to an agreement to acquire the controlling interest of the Barons. And of course, with it being in January, there was no preparation in place to host the season at that time. However, Mr. Woodward, he was 33 years old, and his first priority was to build a new ballpark. So he went to the northern steel capital of the United States, known as Pittsburgh, to see how their newly built ballpark, Forbes Field, was built, because they used both a steel and concrete base or foundation to put their field up together. And really, this was Forbes Field, which was, the home to the Pittsburgh Pirates at the time. So he left it up to the architects when he got back to design Rickwood, patterned after Forbes Field. And what's amazing to me is that we have on record that the construction of Rickwood did not begin until early April, and the goal was to have the first game here on July 4th. And Mr. Woodward was quoted in the papers as saying, "This ballpark is not being built just for this one season. It's being built for even more than 10 seasons. It is literally being built for time." And I love that, because here we are 115 years later, and boy, does that quote apply to where we are today. But there were challenges to they had to choose the right side of Birmingham to build this on. They had to build it on a site that provided easy access with the limited forms of transportation that they had back in the day. And it was important that the streetcar system at the time could accommodate a stop at the ballpark nearby. And the only other way to get here, there were a few wealthy people that maybe had a car back then, but the only other way to get here was with a horse-drawn carriage. So the site also needed to be near a railroad train depot, so they made that a priority, and that's how they picked the property here. Then they had a big meeting to go back, and the Barons president at the time, his name was R.H. Ball, B-A-U-G-H, and along with the Birmingham Barons executive team, they considered what they would name the ballpark. And Mr. Woodward himself suggested, placing a contest in the newspaper and let the fans decide. So the fans did, and it was by popular vote that they said, well, let's name it Rickwood Field in honor of the man who's investing not only his time but a lot of his money to bring new life to baseball here in Birmingham. So, and as the Barons continued to struggle at Slag Pile, it wasn't until August 18th, on this date, exactly 115 years ago today, that Rickwood Field was open at an estimated cost of $75,000. And on that day, most of the businesses in Birmingham closed their offices midday so that fans could attend the game. City Hall was closed. Government officials, doctors, lawyers, barbers, steel workers, they all came to watch. And it was in the newspaper saying this was clearly the biggest day at the time in the history of Birmingham, as thousands of fans rode in the streetcars and the horse-drawn buggies on a dusty dirt road to watch the Barons play the Montgomery Climbers. And Rickwood was known as being the finest home of baseball in the Southland at the time. It seated 5,500 fans, so there was an overflow crowd of another 5,000 that they had to tend to. And believe it or not, they put those folks out by the foul lines and even behind the outfielders. And so they had a on the field experience. And the Barons at the time were led by player manager Carlton Molesworth, and the first pitch of the game was actually thrown by Rick Woodward himself. He was fully dressed in a Barons uniform, and after throwing a ball on the pitch, he turned the game over to the starting pitcher. And as the game progressed, it was 2-1. The Barons were coming to bat in the bottom of the ninth. They scored a run to tie the game, and a runner advanced to third, and then the next batter perfectly placed a walk-off bunt and scored the winning run from third.
Amazing.
Good stuff with the history there, Mike. The question for me, now over a century, 115 years to be exact, later, how do you celebrate a birthday for a wonderful ballpark and throw that celebration and give it all the attention it deserves?
You know, I told Gerald Watkins, who y'all know very well, we should have had the foresight. Obviously, now with August coming and school, around the corner, and schools are back in and colleges are starting classes, we should have had the foresight to maybe do it on this day or near this day. But we're still not out of the possibility of maybe doing something in September, a few weeks later on a weekend maybe. And of course, we have to match up against college and pro football there as well. So, but yeah, that was certainly something that we were like, should we be, throwing a nice little celebration out here at the park? And then, and we do, by the way, we have construction going on. Construction's always going on out here, but we're making some changes to our ADA seating to make it more compliant with today's standards. So there's a little bit of activity going on today, which would have made it really difficult. But and going back, after that game ended, I want to emphasize it was a crowning day for the city. Our newspapers say that the large crowd went crazy. The game was won and Rickwood was opened. And today, 115 years later, we celebrate so many stories of what we consider the holy grounds of baseball right here in Birmingham, Alabama.
So let me ask you this, and I've never asked you guys this before because obviously Major League Baseball was in its infancy. And this brand new stadium is built in Birmingham. Was there ever a time that Birmingham was maybe on the radar of Major League Baseball dropping a team in the Deep South? Was that ever a remote possibility? And was Rickwood a facility that could have been expanded to the point to where Major League Baseball could have been played here?
Nothing that we have on record leads us to believe that. And as you said, Pat, so in 1910, when the first game was played here, Birmingham was considered to be a Class A team. And it was not, as you mentioned, not affiliated with Major League Baseball at the time. There was the minor leagues back then were not, particularly just designated for a certain team. That came around in the 30s. And so, nothing that we have on record. However, I will tell you that even Atlanta, who played in the same league, and Memphis and New Orleans, they were all a part of that Southern Association at the time. And of course, we know some of those cities that I named now have professional franchises of some, one type or another, whether it's football, hockey or baseball. So, but nothing that I will tell you also that the crowds were so large here for the first few years that expansion did start quite soon after. If you can visualize the way the Rickwood Field looked back in 1910 was where the dugouts are now. That's where bleachers were, whereas on the left side of where the dugouts were, that's where the seats were. So the dugouts actually resided, as you look at the pitcher's mound, towards the left side of the stands. And so it actually seated, close to about 5,500 or there around, depending on how much people wanted to scoot in and let other people in. But Yeah, so it has changed. It's changed from its original construction, and over the years they kept adding because attendance did continue to grow. And there's so many other, if you don't mind, I'd love to share a couple other stories that, over the years, and there's so much history here. And what I talk about is just the tip of the iceberg. We could talk about this for days. At least I could. And but how about the story of a 17-year-old who in 1948 made a 4-mile trip from his home ballpark from his home to the ballpark here, and he fulfilled his dream of playing baseball in the Negro Leagues at Rickwood with the Black Barons. And we all know 31 years later, that 17-year-old was inducted into the baseball's Hall of Fame, possibly as the greatest player ever to have played the game. And then a story that I love to tell people that don't know, in 1931, there was a 13-year-old Barons bat boy who developed his love of baseball here at Rickwood. And years later, that young bat boy became the owner of the Kansas City A's in 1960. And then in 1964, his love of Rickwood Field came full circle by bringing the Kansas City AA team here. And that young boy, as we all know him to be, was Charlie Finley.
Yep, Charlie O.
And he later moved the Kansas City franchise to Oakland in 1968. But boy, he brought some talent here over the years. Reggie Jackson, Vida Blue, Joe Rudy, Bert Campaneris, Raleigh Fingers, all those guys played here when Finley ran the program. And Finley he frequently sat with his close friend Bear Bryant, who was actually a season ticket holder here. And we've got pictures of him sitting with Bear up in the stands.
Amazing.
And, Bear actually threw out the first pitch in 1967 when they had Reggie here. And Bear's son, Paul Jr., was the Barons GM here for a short while.
Yeah, do you remember that? Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, listen, it's a great anniversary, 115 years young, Rickwood Field. It's going to be around for many more generations to come. I can't thank you enough for hopping on with us and giving us a little date back in history as that just incredible facility was built here in Birmingham, and all of baseball fans worldwide appreciates that greatly. Give Gerald and everyone our best, and hopefully we'll be out there very soon.
We'll do it, and we invite people to come out and give a tour and buy some of these books that have even more history written by Art Black. And we just welcome people to come down and pay us a visit.
That sounds great. Thanks, Mike, very much. And although your Yankees swept my Cardinals over the weekend, I still appreciate you and Conrad and people like that. So.
Yeah, I went easy on you, Pat. I figured Conrad had already stuck that knife in the back there. So.
That's okay. That's kind of the last 3 years for me and the Cardinals, but that's fine. Mike, very best, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Mike. Go Braves.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks. That's Mike Newton joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Back to the college football discussion, what Hugh Freeze told us earlier, all of that and more. Three-Man Front continues here on this Reaction Monday on Jox.
So today's the 115th anniversary of Rickwood. We are 9 minutes and 54 seconds away from a huge announcement from Taylor Swift.
There's another countdown going on. Thank you, Pat.
So what do you think, Conrad? Your wife's a big Swiftie. Is she announcing that the rumor is that she potentially is going to be named the Super Bowl halftime show?
Oh, that would be something. I was thinking it was going to be the super ultimate deluxe vinyl edition of her new album that hasn't come out yet because she likes to, which credit to her, she has a great business mind for this stuff, but it's like every album she has like 30 different versions.
And the fans will buy them all.
Yes, they will.
So this would be like the 12 tracks that she announced last week. This would be like just
maybe there's like a bonus track, or it comes with like maybe the lyrics written out, or it comes with like pictures,
signed.
or some whatever, some special buy it again. Basically, it's hey, you already bought this, now I'm going to make you buy it.
So you don't think it's the Super Bowl announcement?
Do they normally announce that this early?
I don't think it's any of that. I think she's coming out with her own clothing line. And it's going to be for the professional businesswoman. And it's going to be called Tailored.
Oh.
That's good.
And it's going to be pantsuits.
What if it's just a picture of her hand with a ring on it? And that's it.
Or what if it's a picture of her hand and she's holding up a EPT?
Maybe that's it. Wait, so this is at 1 o'clock, so in 8 minutes, 9 minutes?
8 minutes and 19 seconds.
What if it just hits 0 and then it restarts to another 24 hours and it just cycles back through?
What happens the website goes down just like the podcast went down?
Well, the first countdown that she had when they announced the album and they did the countdown on her website, it crashed.
What if it's nothing? How many of our listeners would care? Just asking. I care.
Thanks, Andrew.
Oh, I wasn't directed at you. All the people that send these nice texts.
I hope it's something good, because if it's not, then my life is going to be miserable when I get home, because Paige is going to be in a bad mood.
But why would it be something bad?
Oh, I don't know. It wouldn't be. I mean, disappointing. How about that?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, that's all it is.
That's what we waited for.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't know. How long was it? A 24-hour thing?
No, it started like 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
We'll see. I can't wait. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Has Paige texted you?
No. No, she's busy today at work. She might not even know this is happening.
You better text her. Put her on high alert.
I'll get my brownie points. You're right.
How about our friends at Prize Picks? Prize Picks, that is a great way to win cash while watching sports. You can join millions of users. Sign up today. It's really simple. You download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WJOX. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even have to win your first play. It's just $5. That gives you the $50 bonus. That's code WJOX to get that $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You download the Prize Picks app. Prize Picks, simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get the picks right, you could cash in, win up to 2,000 times your money. You got Demon and Goblin bets. Goblin bets are easier to hit, and that's where I'm going tonight. I'm going professional baseball before we get into college football and professional regular season. Going Major League Baseball, we're going with the Braves. They're back at home after the road trip. They are hosting the Chicago White Sox, who have been struggling. They've lost 11 of their last 13. Ronald Acuna Jr., more or less 0.5. That's runs, hits, runs batted in, all of that combined. He just has to have one. I'm going to go with him. Nacho Alvarez, he has been hot, so to speak. Had a good game yesterday and the day before. 0.5 for runs plus hits plus runs batted in for him as well. If both of those guys hit on their player projections, I'm a winner. You can be a winner too. Prize Picks. Download the app. Promo code WJOX. Don't forget it. We appreciate their partnership.
So, go ahead.
I'm really, this is a genuine question. Is it frustrating for you?
Yes.
Watching how
Super
good
frustrating.
Michael Harris has been since the All-Star break.
Yep.
Is that, I mean, that's just like the cherry on top for what's been a very frustrating season.
It's been frustrating not only with him, but others. Yes.
But now it's like, oh, great. So we kept you. And now you decide to play good baseball when it doesn't really matter as much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
It's nice to win.
Yeah. Always good to win.
Losing stinks. So.
Las Vegas has updated the conference odds to make the college football playoff. And the SEC, according to Las Vegas, they have the best odds as they have set the total number of teams from the Southeastern Conference of making it at 4. The Big Ten is next with 3.5. The ACC 2, Big 12 1.5. So do you take the over, under for 4 for the SEC in the college football playoff?
Ooh. To avoid a push, I guess I go under because I don't think we're getting 5.
Well, based on Denny Cannell, he thinks the FPI means that all SEC teams are going to get in, so I'll go over. I think we get 5.
Molly?
I'll take the under.
Take the under. All right.
Is Burt Bielema excited about that?
3.5 for the Big Ten.
He's counting his team as one of those.
It is 1 o'clock. Welcome back in. It's three-man front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad. Based on Molly's reaction moments ago, I don't think that Taylor Swift is playing the Super Bowl. It's another scheme, right, to get your money? Is that what it is?
More albums.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it's what it is.
I was right.
Yeah, different vinyls. I'm so disappointed. I still love you, Taylor, but I'm really disappointed.
She just loves milking y'all to death, doesn't she? Oh, she's going to take every cent she can get from the Taylor Swift
I was looking at
fans.
record players the other day. I was showing Pat, thought about getting one. Not for this purpose, but I've got a lot of albums that were my parents and my grandparents, and I'd just like to hear some of that old sound, that crackling.
Mm-hmm.
Molly, would you describe her business sense as predatory?
No, I mean, she makes a lot of money, so it's working.
I like predatory.
I think it's predatory.
I think we're going to find out, since she's worth over $1 billion, Pat, that she has invested and she is the silent majority owner of a record player company.
Possibly so.
Y'all like that theory?
And she just bought Seasick Records. She's now the sole owner. She's predictable sometimes. But hey, like Molly said, it works, right? People buy it. People buy it, put money in her pocket, so she's not going to stop.
Big story today. We talked a lot about Jam Miller early in the program. Alex Scarboro from Bama 247 joined us on the program from Bama 247, was telling us that it's an upper body injury, a collarbone issue that was dealt with Saturday night after the scrimmage. They hope that he will be back for the Georgia game for the Alabama Crimson Tide. No practice for Alabama on the practice fields. They'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 9:20. Meanwhile, Auburn's Hugh Freeze, we heard from him at 11:30 this morning. He was praising Jackson Arnold and his development. He also says that he believes that there's a place for both Ashton Daniels and Deuce Knight to be used in their game plan. Also says he's hopeful that Auburn's strength and numbers approach will work on the defensive front. Auburn not practicing today. They will be back at it tomorrow. Meanwhile, Auburn announced that Cam Newton's number 2 will be retired. Moving forward, he will join the likes of Pat Sullivan's number 7, Bo Jackson number 34, Terry Beasley number 88 as the only 4 players in Auburn football history to have their numbers retired. Everyone's head is still spinning over the proposed 24 to 28 team college football playoff potentially by the Big Ten Conference. That came out over the weekend. 7-7-5-5-2-2 format, which basically would give you 4 first-round byes. Conferences would cancel their conference championship games the first week of December, which means the playoffs could begin sooner, which means you could have on-campus games the first 2 weeks of the season. But once again, you just ask the question, if you couldn't get whole support of a 16-team playoff based on 5 automatic qualifiers, why are people going to line up and be okay with a 24 or 26-team playoff model when the SEC and the Big Ten would get 7 automatic qualifiers apiece?
Yeah, I don't know if you're really helping things, because that was the objection, right? Was how many automatic bids each conference, but by putting more teams, but as a result, you're going to have more teams. It's almost like, oh, well, let's move these numbers around and hope that they don't notice. But obviously they do. That's just way too many teams. I wouldn't have a problem if they moved it to 16 teams. I'm good with that. But then you start diluting what you're watching and the importance that we place on some of these games early in the season and especially late in the season.
5-11. It's just
5-11, right?
It's just right there, just sitting on the table.
But that's not Petitti's idea.
No, it's not.
You know what? Everybody wants it to be their idea.
How can we convince him that it was his idea and then he'll go along with it? We need a psychologist in here.
The SEC, they have a meeting every week with the athletics directors. Last week, some reports came out that on Friday, the SEC and the Big Ten had a conversation. I guess the Big Ten was floating that idea in regards to that. And then this week, the SEC will have another meeting. They are still trying to work out their own issues from a scheduling standpoint. They're trying to figure out, are we going 8? Are we going 9? What are we doing here? So I think once they can get that put to bed, then perhaps they can concentrate on what the college football playoff looks like. Now, if this cockamamie idea of the 7-7-5-5-6-4-3-2-1 model, whatever it is, if that were to gain momentum, you're not looking at 2026, you're looking at 2027 for that to happen. So we'll see. So what happens. The University of Michigan, no big surprise, they have announced that they're going to appeal their NCAA penalty from Friday. They think $20 million is too much because when it's all said and done, the number actually can go up to $30 million, depending on how good their football team does. So if they make the college football playoff like Joel Klatt predicts that they're going to make the college football playoff, that's money in their bank account. And then that number would go up in regards to what you're going to have to pay the NCAA. So they are going to appeal the decision. Michigan Athletics Director Ward Manuel, for his part, said he was relieved that the findings did not lead to a reduction in postseason opportunities, but added a postseason ban should never have been under consideration in this case. I fully support the university's decision to pursue an appeal.
I just like the people over the weekend of, this is unmatched in terms of the financial burden this is going to put on Michigan. Meanwhile, you have Dave Portnoy posting a video of him smoking a cigar saying $20 million is chump change to Michigan. That we can, that's pocket change up in Ann Arbor. It's just
an appeal. This is predictable. This is what you're expected to do. I don't know how hopeful they are that this lessens any of the severity of the sanctions that are put on them, but you have to do it. You appeal, and then when you hear the appeal, you promptly respond, no. You're lucky that's all you got.
Well, it reminds me of like in Major League Baseball when you have let's say, all right, you got caught, you threw at a batter or whatever. We're going to give you a 3-game suspension. So then you appeal the suspension, and more than likely it's going to come back, and they're going to give you 2. You get some relief on an appeal. So I'm just curious if there's going to be a financial relief on here because nothing else is able to stick.
Well, and can you tie it up going back to Major League Baseball where the guys are able to play out while it's still under appeal? Does this not hit you fiscally this season? And maybe you're just trying to balance your ledger and saying it'd be easier to start paying this out at this date as opposed to right now and just trying to delay the process. I don't know.
Possibly. And the other angle to all of this is the crazy story about Connor Stallions being on the sideline for the Central Michigan State game. So if you remember back during the Netflix documentary, Untold, Stallions denied being there at the game. He says, I don't recall attending a specific game there. Meanwhile, he held up to the Netflix cameras a picture of an individual on the sideline wearing sunglasses. And he made the statement, I don't think this guy even looks like me. Just the brashness, the arrogance during that whole interview. Now, so NCAA investigators did, finding that this was indeed him on the sideline for the Chippewa Spartans game in East Lansing. Now, this is what the NCAA said. On one occasion in 2023, Stallions personally engaged in-person scouting when he stood on the Central Michigan University sideline wearing a bench pass and disguised in Central Michigan issued coaching gear during the institution's contest against Michigan State. The outside assumption was always that a CMU staffer was doing Stallions a solid by allowing him to get an in-the-flesh look at Michigan State's signaling operation. That was the general idea, right? Well, CBS Detroit is now reporting that Stallions did not reach out to Central Michigan to attend the game, but instead, Central Michigan requested Stallions' help. They wanted him on the sideline. He wasn't gathering information for the University of Michigan. Our shark lover,
old McElwain,
Jim McElwain, he apparently was involved in this. Now, this is from CBS News in Detroit. 2 sources say with direct knowledge of the incident confirmed to CBS News Detroit that a CMU coach initiated contact with Stallions and that then head coach Jim McElwain was likely aware of and approved of the arrangement to secure Stallions a sideline credential and outfit him in CMU-issued gear. Stallions' presence on CMU sidelines has fueled the wave of speculation and theories, largely because it unfolded in the middle of the NCAA's broader investigation with Michigan. There has been a question whether or not Stallions somehow snuck onto the sidelines of his own accord. According to the Central Michigan source, Stallions' role during CMU's game against Michigan State was the result of a direct request from the Central Michigan staff with the sole purpose of assisting their program for that game.
See, now we need to reopen the whole shark thing because of this. I'm not convinced that wasn't him now.
Naked dude on the shark?
Yeah. I mean, I always thought it was, but I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But now with this going to it, maybe he's just really good at
Well, the people at
fabricating
Navy,
the
people
truth.
at Navy I talked to said that they saw the picture the first time and they said, "Yeah, that's definitely Connor."
I mean, it's just like you were saying, the brashness to say this looks nothing like me when it very clearly looks very similar to you. Now, does that mean it's you? Absolutely not. But to say it doesn't even look anything like you, I mean, come on.
All right, let's hear from Jim Harbaugh, who was the head football coach of the 2023 national champion Michigan Wolverines.
Like I said to you last year, not engaging.
One more time, this is Jim Harbaugh when asked by the media in Los Angeles about the Michigan penalties by the NCAA.
Like I said to you last year, not engaging.
It's not engaging.
Okay.
Not going to talk about it.
Nope.
I mean, that's like saying I plead the fifth, and then everyone goes, oh, okay, so we know why you're pleading the fifth. Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer, after the scrimmage on Saturday, he was asked by the media because he was on the opposing sideline in the national championship game against Michigan. He was asked about his thoughts about Michigan's penalties on cheating.
I don't know anything about it. I honestly don't. I don't know what they got. I didn't read it. I don't know. So I haven't even heard about it. So you can tell me, and I can respond, I guess.
I think it was, they estimated a $20 million fine, and Sharon Moore got an extra game suspension, and then some people got show causes and other stuff.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how in comparison to other issues that we've had over the years, how that relates, but it is what it is. I don't have too much of a response, I guess.
And yeah, I really don't care. I'm worried about getting this team ready to play.
I'm worried about my starting running back that just broke his collarbone. I'm not too worried about Jim Harbaugh.
No, I need him to be more fired up because they robbed Alabama of 2 national championships, as we discussed last week. Nick Saban went out a champion, and Kalen DeBoer is now the champion as well. So 2 national championships for Alabama 2 years ago. They robbed us. 2. So now we have 20. If you're keeping track at home, Alabama has 20 national championships. 20. Based on my math.
And one of the more bizarre situations that took place over the weekend. Remember, we had this situation on Friday. No, it wasn't Friday. It was earlier in the week from the student newspaper in Auburn. The guy posted a video of Hugh Freeze throwing his visor. Well, a student reporter at the student newspaper at the University of Arkansas had a very interesting exchange with Sam Pittman. Take a listen.
And then a lot of talk about, year 2 under Bobby. I guess maybe year 6 under you doesn't sound quite as exciting to the eye, but I guess have you learned anything that I guess
Was there a question in there?
Yeah,
what the hell are we doing?
Sorry. I guess is there anything new that you've learned about yourself that you're looking to take into this year? I guess I should just lead with that.
You have to change majors if you're.
All right, one more time. If you
change major.
If you did not catch this, just listen to this question by this student reporter at the University of Arkansas.
And then a lot of talk about, year 2 under Bobby. I guess maybe year 6 under you doesn't sound quite as exciting to the eye, but I guess have you learned anything that I guess
Was there a question in there?
Yeah,
what the hell are we doing?
Sorry. I guess is there anything new that you've learned about yourself that you're looking to take into this year? I guess I should just lead with that.
And you feel bad for him because you know that's probably the first time he's ever asked a question like that in that setting.
Man.
He's been practicing and in his head what the question's going to be, and then you get to the moment and it's just word vomit.
Okay, so what I'm about to tell you is not going to surprise anybody in this room or the people listening to this radio show. When the press conference was over, this young man went to Sam Pittman directly and apologized. And he said that Sam Pittman could not have been nicer. And he apologized, not Pittman, but the student, about his line of questioning. He obviously misphrased it. And he said Pittman could not have been nicer, accepted the young man's apology, and it was over with. But it definitely made for some awkward moments and some interesting sound coming from Fayetteville.
Just such an unnecessary part of the question.
I understood the premise. I understand the premise of the question. That would have been a tough one to phrase, however you phrased it.
Well, he got it right at the end. It was just, you know.
What have you learned about yourself as opposing to it's not as it doesn't sound as exciting to the eye?
Well, and it's just the fact it's like, oh, so we're excited for year 2 of Bobby Petrino, but why
not
would
for
anyone
year
be
6.
excited for 6 year of
But you're right. Sam Pittman handled it because he's a class individual, not just a good football
If
coach.
you could see in his
he's
look,
a class individual.
he was looking over at his sports information director.
what are we doing?
Is this for real?
Like, who
He actually said, "What are we doing?
How did this guy get in here?
What are we doing here?"
Hey, I bet he won't ask that question again or anything like that. He will be very careful about how he phrases his questions.
How old are you, buddy? You want a cold beer?
Yeah, you.
Are you of age?
You
Come on back here.
You live and you learn.
Come on. I'm gonna promote it today.
Poor kid.
I ran into Travis Lloyd from Abide Roofing on Friday night, and he was telling me about all the people that is taking advantage of the free consultation and a no worries free estimate. Just, hey, call Abide Roofing today at 205-941-6223, and you can take advantage of this wonderful service because you don't need to worry about your roof, because whether it's your family home or a commercial building, Abide Roofing delivers tailored solutions for every need. 25 years of trusted experience there at Abide Roofing. They have the expertise to get the job done right and the first time around. They helped me out. They got on my roof. They saw that I had a big time issue, had some leaking in my attic and into my ceiling in my kitchen. So guess what? Travis Lloyd got with my insurance company. They worked out everything, and then they put a brand new roof on my house. Abide Roofing, they're masters at navigating the claims process to get you the coverage that you deserve. So ready to get started? It's a simple phone call, 205-941-6223. That's 941-6223, or visit their website, abideroof.com. That's Abide Roofing, quality, precision, and customer satisfaction every time.
College football playoff expansion. What is the limit? How far should they go? Dave, hang on. We'll get to your phone calls, your reaction as well. Three-Man Front continues on Jox.
122 on this Reaction Monday, 1-800-239-WJOX, the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Some news coming out of Austin, Texas. This is huge news as their athletics director, Chris Del Conte, he has just received a 6-year contract extension that's going to pay him $2.9 million for 2026 and eventually pay him $4.25 million in 2036. The Board of Regents at the University of Texas, they are meeting this week, and it is expected that they will give the rubber stamp to this approval on a 6-year contract extension. That's a lot of dough for an athletics director.
That is a lot of cash. Del Conte, he is well liked by all of his colleagues, right?
What kind of Lamborghini will he buy with that? Maybe at this stage in life he goes for the SUV like Carson Beck had. Something more comfortable.
I don't know. If this
don't have to get his low down to get in the car.
Do you just get a driver?
Yeah, maybe so.
I go something like Rolls-Royce, just some super gaudy, like old school Rolls-Royce.
I like that.
I think of
gold
him
grill.
Yeah.
I think of him driving around downtown Austin with the big old long horns on the front of his vehicle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Kind of like Boss Hog.
Like Boss Hog?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Convertible?
Yep.
Cadillac?
White.
Mm-hmm. But you got the
burnt orange leather inside.
Ooh, I was thinking cow print leather.
I was going burnt orange.
What about both?
You could do both.
Burnt orange cow print.
Burnt orange cow print with the burnt, or just regular cow print with the burnt orange horns logo sewn in.
There you go.
Wow, $2.9 million, and then eventually $4 million. Hope Sark works out. Hope your new basketball coach, Coach Miller, works out.
Okay, so we have not brought this up, and we've had a lot of, obviously, college football conversation today, but here locally, this UFL thing, are we believing what this new owner of the UFL is he's threatening us? Is that what he's doing?
It felt like a threat. Yes.
Or okay. Maybe threat is too much of a harsh word.
No, but it felt like a threat, Pat. I think it's fair.
Ultimatums, yeah.
Well,
he would say he's trying to incentivize the fan base to speak up with their wallet, but I think it's very clear that you're saying, hey, if you don't pay up X number of dollars, essentially, or whatever 5,000 season tickets is worth, see ya.
All right, so in a nutshell.
Feels like this is pressure sales.
So he tweeted out, I guess from his X account, that Birmingham needs to sell 5,000 season tickets because we only average 9,000 fans. And unless we sell 5,000 season tickets, then the Stallions will not be here.
And wasn't it this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they want to sell 5,000 season tickets in a week, not before the start of next season.
Has this guy given us any indication how many have been sold?
I hadn't seen anything.
No. And I don't know if that's 5,000 is including the people that have already bought season tickets or if that's 5,000 on top of what they already have gotten.
Couple questions here. If I sign up to buy 2 season tickets and then they decide they're going to relocate to Boise, Idaho, do I get my money back?
That's a good question.
Surely you do.
Do we have a roundabout range how much season tickets cost?
I think about $100.
I saw something where I believe if you put down a deposit, so you don't have to pay it all at once, you can put down $50, and that's a deposit for your season ticket.
Okay, so then
that's my understanding.
I would assume you would get the $50 back then.
But if you do some simple math there, that's what, $250,000 that they're hoping to bring in from 5,000 season ticket sales at $50 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind asking and saying what he said, but to put it in a 1 week time frame, I don't know if that's going to get the best response.
Well, and then I was seeing
from folks that we live around.
Then I was seeing something that some folks were trying to buy season tickets over the weekend, and it wasn't working. The site wasn't. And then the United Football League, the official account of the UFL, they sent out a direct message, or actually just a tweet, saying that, hey, for those Birmingham Stallions folks trying to buy season tickets, you need to go here So, I mean, this whole thing is just very convoluted. And if you're going to hold a media market hostage, Mr. New owner of the UFL, then why don't you come out and be transparent and tell us how many tickets have been sold?
So I'm trying to do it right now, and it is working right now, and it is just, you can go, if you just type in Stallion season tickets on Google, it will take you to a link, and your only option is the $50 deposit.
Well, I just want to know, I mean, listen, if you're going to hold an ultimatum to a market and you're going to say you got to do this or you're gone, then okay, well, give us like twice a day reports of how many tickets have been sold. Let us know. Be transparent. You want to mouth off about we only average 9,000. It's funny how he mentioned nothing about us being the number one television market of your stupid league.
Which we had been told for years was all they cared about, right? Was television numbers.
Yeah. So, okay. So just tell us what's important to you. Selling 5,000. So 5,000 season tickets are going to appease you, Mr. New Owner, and then put us in a better situation moving forward. Or are you going to improve the football?
Right. My question is these other valued franchises. I know that St. Louis does well, but what is DC? What is their preseason season ticket sales look like? How many people are going and pre-buying all of those tickets? I just want to see the comparison of the other three teams. If we're going to say the top four teams in attendance from last year, where are the other three teams in previous years? Where are they right now in their preseason season ticket sales?
Well, let's say they hit the target. Okay, that's great. So you're now going to take some of that money and funnel it into marketing in the regions around?
It was nothing specific. He said, yes, we made a commitment to, paraphrasing, do more in the local market, which is great, and they need to do that. But
what does that mean?
My problem is I've seen enough of this crap in this market for years covering these 2-bit leagues. If you're going to make that kind of threat, then be transparent and tell us exactly. If the number is 5,000, okay, then today's Monday and you mouthed off over the weekend about it, then go ahead and give us a report right now of where we stand.
And you better not be moving the goalpost.
That's my point.
Yes.
Just be transparent. Because then what? Okay, so you mean to tell me that you're going to pull the team out of the number one market in the UFL if we sell 4,995 season tickets? Like what is the number? Is that the real number? Is that what we're talking about? Because apparently the mayor of Birmingham feels very confident that the team's going to be back based on some of his social media posts. But, of course, he's running for re-election, so don't know where that currently stands in regards to the grand scheme of things.
So where did the 5,000 number come from?
Came from the new owner.
No, I know.
The UFL.
But where did he get that number?
I don't know. I guess he would need to tweet it out again, I guess.
Okay, so Mike, is it Rapoli?
Sure.
All right, so because you brought up Randall Woodfin and what he posted over the weekend. So Mike Rapoli responded to that, and this would have been on Saturday.
Now, what was Woodfin's original post? I do not follow the mayor of Birmingham on social media. Sorry. I don't live in Birmingham, so I don't pay attention to what he says.
So he posted, it's 10 days until Election Day, vote for Mayor Woodfin, and he says, no cap, the Stallions are staying in Birmingham. So essentially insinuating if he gets elected, he's not going to let the Stallions leave. So Mike Rapoli responded to that and said, great to meet you, Mayor Woodfin, and best of luck in your election in 10 days. Quick Stallions update. As of this morning, this is Saturday, we've got 500 new season ticket requests. The excitement in Birmingham has been incredible. The city, the fans, the people, and local businesses. Now about the rumor that the Stallions are definitely staying in Birmingham, that's not true. Unless you personally just bought 4,500 tickets, in which case, thank you, that's not the case. So essentially saying, unless Mayor Woodfin goes out and buys $4,500 season tickets, that he can't guarantee that they are ultimately going to stay. He also...
Why doesn't he do that and just hand them out to people around the community next year? Would that count? Can the city buy if the city chose to?
Yes.
I think so.
That's what he's saying here.
Okay.
But he also said, and this is interesting, he tweeted this out yesterday. He says, Stallions Nation, I need your help. What is a better option for us? Do we focus on selling out the lower bowl at Protective Stadium or focus on Hoover Met? I want to make this work for Birmingham.
Well, remember, I brought that up months ago. I mean, that was one of the rumors that I had heard from a legitimate source that because for whatever reason, the UFL and Protective Stadium, there was a rub somewhere. I don't know if it's the Birmingham end or the UFL end, whatever the case may be. And so this new guy really wants to play in these smaller venues. That's why he's going to these smaller soccer stadiums like DC. Now, I can't explain why you want to continue to play in the Alamo Dome where,
If you announced, just your opinion, Pat, if you announced that the Hoover Met would be the new home for the Stallions, do you think that those season tickets get sold?
That 5,000 more.
Yeah.
The Protective Stadium is a centralized location.
I know
it's a great venue.
I know.
You have eating established around there, just like the Hoover Met. You and I call football games at the Hoover Met. It's definitely a small venue. But I just don't think you're gonna get.
Is
to
that more
number.
people? Are you going to garner more interest? I should have just asked this. More interest from the Metro, from the Hoovers, from the North Shelby County, from the Alabaster, the Vestavia. I guess that would be splitting the difference to distance. Do you get more people that say, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go to. I want to go see them play at the Met. I'll buy season tickets."
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to finish because his response to Mayor Woodfin was very lengthy. I'm just going to read this. So this is continuing on with what he said about Mayor Woodfin. You need to buy $4,500 tickets if you want to guarantee the Stallions can stay. This is Mike Rapoli. I promise the UFL will step it up with better marketing and smarter scheduling under my leadership. Let's hop on a call or a Zoom next week to figure this out. Also, if you would like the St. Louis mayor's phone number, I have his contact because his Battlehawks draw 26,000 fans per game. Still, I believe in Birmingham, and with your leadership, or maybe the new mayor's leadership, we can make this happen. Let's lock in at dinner at Perry's Steakhouse opening week. P.S. Perry's season tickets for all your employees would be a great Christmas bonus, and call me about sponsoring the UFL. I'm sorry, that is clown show written all over it. That's an embarrassment.
Well, I've said it before, especially when it comes to the city of St. Louis. I know that market really well. They had 2 former National Football League teams. You cannot compare St. Louis to San Antonio, that's never had an NFL team, or Birmingham, Alabama, that has never had an NFL team. That is not a fair comparison. Not to mention the fact that it's the best indoor venue that you have available. And those fans in St. Louis, they still believe that they should have an NFL team. I mean, they sued the Los Angeles Rams and won.
Well, that last comment about call the mayor of St. Louis, that ticks me off a little bit.
Yeah, that's
well, that
pitiful.
And then, hey, maybe you can help us or the next mayor with a laughing emoji. Like, haha, if you don't win, well, whatever. Maybe the next guy can come in and actually get this done since we don't think that you can. I mean,
he's got a New York sense of humor. That's where he's from.
Well, he's a jackass is what he is.
All right, more 3-man front on this Reaction Monday from Conrad here on Jox. It is 1:38. Welcome back in. This is Jox on Reaction Monday. We've got football kickoff in 5 days. And, right now, with school being back in session, it's time to roll into a new season in style at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Brand new pricing is out. Get up to $17,000 off an all-new GMC Sierra 1500. Save up to $13,000 off the powerful Sierra 2500 HDs. I've owned a couple of Yukons myself, and it's that SUV. It outperforms every other SUV in its class. You can save up to $5,000 off every Yukon and Yukon XL. And how about the all-new Acadias? The 2026s are making its way on the lot as we speak. Plus, every new GMC there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville comes with a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. That's peace of mind that's going to last. Hurry into Courtesy GMC in Trussville, where Courtesy's got the lowest prices in the Southeast, or check them out online at courtesybirmingham.com.
Going back to the Stallions' potential move, potential staying, I guess, from the new UFL CEO. This one reads, doubt very seriously the Birmingham Stallions will be playing at the Hoover Met, considering the SEC baseball tournament is there the same time of year. Well, the SEC baseball tournament, that would take up one of your Saturdays.
Just play on the road that Saturday.
Playing surface, I think that you could figure out ways around that as well. But no, it's an interesting point. They do have another event there that they value very much. Will says, me gusta angry Conrad. Conrad got a little bee under his bonnet.
I just don't like people that disrespect our city.
Did you call him a jackass? Is that what you called him?
I did.
So Conrad called the new CEO of the UFL that is worth how many billions of dollars?
1.6, if I recall correctly.
1.6 billion. Called him a jackass. Conrad Van Order.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he can come on the show and give us some clarity on what the season tickets.
I think he should come on
right
every day at 10:48 for the rest of the week, and he needs to give us a ticket update. Because here's my other question. Didn't they fire a bunch of people that worked in the front office of the Stallions?
We heard about some people that lost their jobs.
Who's taking their phone calls? Or is it just completely online?
Maybe it's a call center in New Delhi.
Bangladesh.
Landrum, you'll have to give Wimp some heck about the Indians. He was talking all that smack. They got swept by the Braves. Go Bravos. Jack and Alabaster, thank you. I'll remind him.
Yeah, I haven't thanked you yet, y'all. Y'all did us a solid this weekend, so thank you.
Did we?
Yeah, they were the team behind us in the wild card, so now we have some wiggle room now, thanks
I was
to
celebrating the fact that the Braves are in single digits when it comes back to wild card games back.
That's okay. That's
not
something.
That they're gonna get a wild card spot,
something.
but it's a small.
So you're back to watching them again because you've sworn them off and now you're back again?
I mean, Look at his shirt, Pat. Look at the shirt.
It's amazing, him and Barrett. It's just like a roller coaster. It's like 1 week, I hate them. I'm done. I'm never going to watch them again.
That's my right.
I'm moving on. And then all of a sudden, they beat the Cleveland Guardians, and it's like, the world is great again.
Would you have worn that shirt if y'all didn't sweep them this weekend?
Actually, it was the 4 out of 5 with the Marlins, the 2 out of 3 with the Mets, and then the sweep that compelled me to watch. We still going back to the no, we're not going back there. Crimson Convict asking, are they going to have a laptop and a bag of money on the banner with the jersey number for one Cam Newton? I don't think so.
No, I don't think they'll do that.
Nick from Prattville, you guys already know if Alabama loses to Florida State, the absence of Jam Miller will be the number one excuse used by Alabama fans to explain why they lost to Florida State. Go Noles, all caps.
As I said earlier, if Alabama loses to Florida State, it will not be because Jam Miller is not playing in that game. It will be because there are bigger issues to deal with.
Going back to Scotty Scheffler, only making 3. John Rahm getting 18 for being the Live Tour champ. FedEx Cup champ wins $15 million. Scheffler will most likely get that next week. If you add the two together, that would be the $18 million.
There you go. Yeah, and I think somebody pointed out in the text earlier that apparently John Rahm hasn't won a single Live Golf event. It's just he's had really good finishes in all of them, and so cumulatively, that's how he won the Live Golf Cup or whatever they call it.
Really good question from Luke in North Carolina. He says, hey, guys, I noticed no SEC teams have ever gone to Ireland for the Week 0 game. As you probably know, Kansas State had to give up an on-campus home game to play Iowa State in Dublin this year, just like Georgia Tech did last year. Would you ever want to see an SEC team such as Bama or Auburn move one of their games to Ireland? Would it matter if they were playing as the home team, giving up an on-campus game, or the away team? Thanks. I personally would just, as a media member of this state, I would reserve that for the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be cool to see an SEC team there. And, I mean, this obviously, I mean, it's going to affect Kansas State and Iowa State and those communities as well. But, I mean, would you just get into what losing out on a game day in your college town costs local businesses and everything that goes into that? It is an astronomical amount of money that you are giving up in order to go play in one of these events, and that's a tough ask.
Unless you have a sponsor that sponsors the event in Ireland that pays you for your appearance and covers whatever you're going to lose from a home game.
Why don't you just have Notre Dame be there every year as the home team?
I think the people in Ireland want a little variety.
Yeah.
Can you imagine an SEC fan base?
Imagine Texas A&M fans going over to Ireland.
Could you imagine them seeing the Merry Milkman in downtown Dublin at those pubs?
But based on what I've heard from people who, I know Molly's been over there, but other people we've talked to that have gotten to hang out with the folks over there, I think the SEC culture would actually fit very well.
Very, very much
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
ACC, maybe some of those cats, maybe not so much. Like your Virginias.
Your wine and cheese crowd?
Your wine and cheese, yes.
I bet Kansas State and Iowa State fans, they'll put down some Guinness. No doubt.
By the way, I tried some of the Guinness-flavored macaroni and cheese that they have out. Yeah, it's the same people that are doing the pretzel pieces, Molly, we like so much.
Is that why you're running to the bathroom so much today?
Probably so.
Wait, so I'm just very curious about how much of the Guinness flavor is in the mac and cheese.
You can taste it. It's put out by a cheese company in Vermont, actually. But
I just don't know if I'd want my mac and cheese to taste that way. But I would.
No,
try.
it doesn't taste like a beer, Conrad.
Oh.
It's just subtle hints.
Oh, okay.
Of some of the things that are in there. It was good, and I'm not sure if that was a culprit. Well, now that he's let the cat out of the bag, I got to comment on it.
We were just letting it play out.
Yep. We appreciate the text. A lot of great ones we were not able to get to. Keep them firing in 205-834-9450 as we continue on Three Man Front.
It is 1:50. Welcome back on this Reaction Monday. Hope you'll join us tomorrow at Social Taco. We're there each and every Tuesday from 10 until 2 o'clock. If you've never been to Social Taco, located there in the Soho section right by City Hall in Homewood, Alabama. So come on by and see us. So we will be there. Mike Griffith will be one of our featured guests tomorrow as we will continue as we're just 4 days away from Week 0's games kicking off. Dublin will be the first game coming up on Saturday.
It should be good. Hopefully it's as thrilling as the one that we got last year with Georgia Tech and Florida State, right?
That was a good one.
Any other, what would be the other marquee game?
I think the Kansas one is maybe
the
most interesting.
Sam Houston, Western Kentucky could be sneaky good.
Yeah, but TJ Finley's not a part of it, so
I just
feel
I want to
weird.
see Dan
Just
Mullen
knowing that he wore that uniform, Conrad.
wearing the scarlet and black of UNLV.
I think a lot of people will have forgotten that, they might tune into that game and go, oh, is that who I think it is on the sideline? Yes, it is.
Hawaii is a 2-point favorite over Stanford.
I'm definitely watching that one. That's tradition for me. I watch Hawaii. If they're playing Week 0, I watch them.
Playing in the, what's the name of that?
That would be the Clarence T.C. Ching Athletics Complex, Pat.
Yeah, that's the
Doesn't it just roll off your-
15,000 seat venue there.
Yep.
I'm impressed you knew that off the top of your head.
He didn't.
I've got a schedule pulled up right here.
Come on.
I was about to say, I was like, whoa.
Well, Conrad, I will really blow you away with this.
Hey,
The Houchins Industries LT Smith Stadium in Bowling Green.
You know what I thought
You're
the
so
name,
informed.
The name of the Hawaii one was? The Timmy Chang Complex.
He
was a good quarterback at Hawaii.
He was. Have they not got a spam corporate partnership yet? I feel like with the amount of spam that is sold and consumed over there.
Is that a big thing over there?
Spam?
Why?
I don't know.
They not have a lot of cattle farms on the islands?
I've never had Spam before.
Me neither.
My entire life.
I did it as an eating challenge on this show.
And was it... I just find it... I think it would be repulsive, personally.
I don't like the out-of-the-can Spam.
No. That's
but
gross.
I've had to, in a pinch, when we go down to the hunting camp and had it where you fry it, you cut it thin and you fry it kind of like bacon. It's bearable. You would be okay with it.
Okay, I could, yeah.
But yeah, the gooey coming out of the can with the gelatin covering it.
See, it's like it's similar. I mean, it's different, but like with Vienna sausages, where it's like it's not that gross, but like just looking, it's gross. But it doesn't taste as bad as you think it would.
So on one of our monitors, we're watching what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now as Trump is meeting with Zelensky and the European leaders. And as you're sitting here looking at this big room with all the flags and the big conference room with all the world leaders sitting around, I can only envision that's what the college football playoff managers meeting looks like when they get together to discuss the CFP expansion. The question is...
Who is Trump?
Tag Ovalia.
Yeah, he just said that. Matter of fact, in this meeting with Zelensky and the world leaders. Kind of crazy. He brought up to his name.
So who's Trump holding court?
Oh, that's Sankey. What are you talking about? Petiti is like Macron from France.
I think Tony Petiti would take exception to that. He sees himself as Trump.
Or maybe he sees himself as the Italian. What's her name? The prime minister. You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about.
Well, he's got an Italian last name.
Yeah,
right?
I don't
Petiti?
know the name.
She's there. She's sitting next to Trump.
Okay.
No, I mean, look. I mean, does that not remind you of like what you would think that the CFP board of directors when they get together and?
Yes, with more snacks. I don't know. I just envision them having more snacks.
Do they have a bunch of fast food laid out for the world leaders?
No, but whatever's happening, of course, we have the volume down.
Well, somebody just cracked the joke.
Man, they're all laughing. Now, the guy from England, what's her name? Starner, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of, but man.
The
young lady from Italy is.
Yeah, Italian president. She's laughing at his jokes.
Did Macron's wife come with him today? Or is she back on the plane?
So has this visit for Zelensky already been longer than the first one, or are we still?
Oh, no. I think it's going well so far.
Does Zelensky wear a tie to this one?
Yeah, he's sitting right there. Well, I don't know if it's a tie. I think he's
I don't think he wears a tie.
Yeah, I think he's just got he's got a black suit on.
I don't know if he was going Kalen DeBoer. Like, nope.
Going hoodie?
I'm not
Going with the light hoodie?
I am not conforming to your White House dress decor.
Why is there a ladder over there? You see that?
They're going to cut down a net eventually.
I guess so.
Florida basketball coach runs out. Waves at the group. Appreciate you joining us today. Appreciate all the interaction, all of it found there at the podcast. Tomorrow, join us live from Social Taco in Homewood from 10 to 2. Have a great rest of your Monday. God is great.